there's a big crowd. Like Friday even had a big crowd. I mean, people really come out to this event.
Yeah, this is the big one for us. Yesterday, Friday, holy wow, that was a big crowd for a Friday. So I'm expecting a massive crowd Saturday and just as big Sunday. The fans just love it. And
so the muscle cars are going to be a real highlight. We're standing right beside one here, which is leading the that competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Field of V8s, you just can't beat that, can you? And look at this beauty. She's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think. It doesn't matter what cars we're looking at in the future, there's something about a V8 that just excites people. Formula 5000s, you know, you might only have 9 or 10 of them on the grid. They're rolling down the front straight, the building's shaking, you can smell the fuel, the ground shaking, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I actually was lucky enough to get out in the infield and do some shots on the Friday, and a couple of the guys saw that I was there and did some showing off, and man, those cars are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of that footage, and to think of 5000 sort of getting the arse out, that is just next level.
All right, well, we'll go over to the track and we'll start taking a look at what's happening out there. So we'll throw over to there. And commentary team this year, we better give them a shout out.
Yeah, we've got Lindsay Kerr, Dave Gower, Nathan, Josh. I think Brian Kelly's coming down, and I think I've missed a couple, but they're a dedicated team, and hopefully lots of great information coming out of them through the weekend.
And one of the other things that we want to do this weekend as well is do a little bit more interviews that are a bit longer form with some of the drivers and talk about some of the cars. So we've set up a little area for that, which we'll show you later on in the day. And but right now we're going to go out there and take a look at some of the racing. Good morning everyone, we're just here with Guy Stewart who's about to go out on the track for the first race, so we thought we should actually have a word with the main sponsor if he's going to have a moment to talk to us. He's just told us he was racing 2 cars but he's down to 1, so Guy, what's happened with the second car you had?
Auto Authority restored a 1991 Carrera Cup car for me that I was hoping to drive here this weekend. Unfortunately, old age has caught up with a component on the car. It's broken and it was just too much work to try and fix it overnight, so I'm back to my faithful IROC for the weekend.
But as we were saying, it's not a bad problem to have because this car you're in is a beautiful car.
Oh, I love this car. This is my first racing car. It's tons of fun to drive. It's challenging, it's fun, it's fast, it makes a great sound, so I'm still a very happy boy, albeit a bit frustrated.
So how many years have you been running SKOPE for now?
Well, I started racing the first time we sponsored the SKOPE Classic, and I think it's about 25 years. Someone else with a better memory will know for sure, but I think it's about 25 years.
So, I mean, an event that's run 35 years this year, that's an amazing achievement and an amazing sponsorship with SKOPE being involved for so long.
Well, SKOPE's very proud to be part of the process, but the Canterbury Car Club are the guys that do all the work, and they're a fantastic team. So Mark just sends me an invoice once a year, and that's a relatively easy process, but the Canterbury Car Club guys are the ones that put all the effort in and make it run. And this year, I asked Mark this morning, there's more cars than ever before. We're expecting a big turnout, and it's going to be a good weekend. And
the weather's looking pretty good for the weekend, we hope.
Yeah, I turn into a lunatic watching the forecast before this event, and so it looks like there might be rain in the morning, but if we're lucky it'll just pass overnight and we'll have a dry day tomorrow as well.
And not too hot, that's a key.
Yeah, some cloud is nice, absolutely. Everyone wandering around in shorts and a t-shirt needs to understand we're effectively wearing 3 layers of wool in here with large engines near us, so it gets very hot inside these things.
And so for those that don't know, this grid you're on here, the cars are all sorts of different types of cars, so what do they represent?
Very fast saloon and GT style cars. So in this class I'll be near the back. We've got very modern cars from an F430 Ferrari, which is very exciting to have here, to a lot of my old stablemates that I've raced with for a very long time. Porsche, BMW, it's a very cool class. But this is sort of the fastest saloon class.
Awesome. Well, have fun out there. We'll let you get into your preparation for racing, and we'll see you when you come back in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
of the SKOPE Classic here at the Euromarque Raceway at Ruapuna. Great crowd here as always. Perfect day for motor racing. And here we are about to kick the show off. We have the Formula 5000s that are undergoing qualifying at the moment. And they'll be with you 4 times throughout the next 2 days, along with another smorgasbord of saloon cars, including the historic touring cars, and an absolutely wonderful field. Oh, we have an incident there. Bruce Kett in the Lola there, and the Lola T332, who has had a wheel come away as they negotiated through the S's there. Yeah, wow. Lucky it didn't cause any more damage to himself than anybody else. Let's hope it's nothing too serious. We're not down a car already, which the field is not a giant one of 20 or anything. It's a field of 10, which we're lucky to even have 10 here, I suggest. The way we're going, the way it's going. Recent times, cars get older, drivers get older. So the first up on the first race we have today is the John Osborne Saloons. We have 9 races before the lunch break. We have the historic sports sedans, which is a combination of old Oscar cars and North Island sports sedan cars. We have the John Fairhill historic touring cars. Then the next class of saloons are Ron Silvester. Then the single seaters and sports cars with a Pat Hall Formula Libre. And so it follows on. I'd like to welcome aboard the commentary team for this weekend, and today we have the voice of motor racing. Well, he was. Brian Kelly from Tauranga is here today, and we have Josh the apprentice boy, who's here. Almost got his full-time ticket. And we have David Gower, returned from Aussie, just for motor racing, and he'll be on the grid, and you'll see his face soon. I'm sorry about that, but you're going to have to put up with it. And that tomorrow we will have with us Nathan Clive, who's one of our semi-regulars, and a blast from the past in the form of Hayden Cook, who is our permanent reserve commentator. So we'll be back shortly after this car is rescued, and then we'll be on the grid.
I'm just here with Tim from Fixations, who's running the 996 GT3. So it's just got loud in here because they're about to go out on track. Tim, tell us, you're running a couple of cars this weekend. What are you running?
996 GT3, as you said, and an E30 M3. Both cars have been racing many years. Chris Childs owns them both, and his son, Chris Childs Jr., is driving the Porsche. First time on slicks, first time in a Porsche, first time in Ruapuna, first time in New Zealand racing. It's a day of firsts. And he's second on the grid, so maybe he'll get it first as well.
Awesome. And you've got are you working with some of the couple of Jaguars as well?
I've prepared the Silver E-Type Jag as well, that I've prepared for many years, and Tim Stace driving that, getting to know it after it being driven by his father since 1977. Tim's second year driving it.
And so you're a racer as well. What's happening with the Peugeot you have?
The Peugeot's parked up waiting for a suitable moment.
So just those that don't know, I've raced the Peugeot with Tim many years ago in endurance racing, so that's how I know him and his work that he does with classic cars as well. I mean, 35 years of an event. You've been around it for quite a long time. You're a young man, but have you been to all 35?
Pretty much, yeah. Might have missed a couple, but pretty much been here looking after clients' cars since then. Definitely BPL for days. We prepared cars for it, and prepared cars for the Stewarts a few years ago, and yeah, people have come and gone from classic racing as they do.
So what is it you think, why this event is just so popular?
I've always thought that this event was the best classic event in the country. Having been to other ones around the country, this definitely has a better class of cars that are more classic. Rules in New Zealand for classic racing vary from around the world. There's a little bit slacker, but I think the SKOPE Classic's got a good formula for what makes a good meeting.
Well, there we go. So the cars are about to form up for the race, so we better get up to the commentary team and see what happens in the first race of the day.
Great driving that one, and that one has been all over Christchurch lately. Lindsay were down at the street sprints, then here as well over a couple of display runs. And
What that car, that Ford?
The Ford Falcon,
yeah, Ford Falcon.
It's a great looking car. It's well preserved, and don't remember the last time we actually seen it in competition here.
Oh, no, I'm not sure, but it certainly has been here before.
Definitely done.
Yeah.
A couple of demo runs in between anyway, and it's a very, very beautiful looking car. And just looking a little bit further back, Miles Cockram out there in his Ferrari F430 GT3.
That was pretty impressive yesterday, that car. Had a couple of spins yesterday, which caused a bit of surprise and angst amongst the punters.
Yes, Miles has historically been bringing some pretty quick cars here to SKOPE Classic, and I believe he sits on the pole, does he, Lindsay?
Car 61, Paul Carter there in the Mitsubishi Stereo, the red, white and blue car. That car, driven by Paul, has, in the early days of the endurance racing, that was the one to beat, that car. But once it all got Flash and all the North Islanders came through with their expensive cars, the cars like the Stereo became on the back foot a bit.
Yeah, good to see Paul Carter's Stereo out there, as you said. And Paul's been pretty regular out here, there or thereabouts, so that will be a pretty interesting car to keep an eye on as the weekend goes on. As we just get
those are the days what we used to have this called the Southern 200, which was our endurance event here at Ruapuna, and they were great days. A lot of ordinary club cars that we know today, and dare I say it, from Brian sitting beside me here, who's been commentating on that for a wee while, but yeah, I kind of miss those days when the all-comers were allowed to be involved, rather than the flash cars. Well, they're nice to see the flash cars, I have to say.
Everything just starting to line themselves up right now. Miles Cockram will start on the pole, and the Ferrari F430 GT3. Of course, a pretty old model of Ferrari nowadays, with the 458 succeeding that, and then that being succeeded by various models. Looks like car 25 in there. Just pulling up into grid position number 6. Looks like one of the Nissan Skylines, and we're just getting a couple of cars sorted in their grid spots. All right, John Osborne Saloons, race 1 of the SKOPE Classic, and we are underway here. Good start there from what looks to be the midfield as they start to come through down into Abbott Insurance.
Bad start by club president Lewis Lowe, who is pulling off already. Let's hope it's not the start of a bad omen for his week.
Yeah, Lewis and the Datsun Scarab.
No.
He's pulled off at a marshal point, so that should be all good. Crane Truck's just going to go out. Doesn't look like there'll be any stoppages for that. Miles Cockram didn't really get the best start there, Lindsay. He's dropped a couple places. Sits now in 3rd. Jeff Lusky just behind him in 4th. One of the cars I am looking back out there is the 05 car. That's Steve Howell in that BMW. Steve's been attending SKOPE for a couple of years now and brought that car for the last, what, 3 years I think now, Lindsay?
Oh, something like that. It's hard to keep tab of them. Most of them are back every year. Some come and go and come back again. Mike Baker there, car number 2, the black and yellow Porsche 964. Mike's here at most events. Mike Baker from Picton.
Yeah, regular Continental Rennsport competitor. A lot of these cars you will see in the Continental Rennsport class. Rob Lewis just putting up a bit of smoke as he goes down into Abbott Insurance.
That car's got some mumbo, that car of Rob Lewis.
It definitely does. And it looks like we just had one go around down at the CMG Motorcycles hairpin released on the exit of it. It'll be car 96.
Oh, that car of Neville Stale, car 25, that's in 2nd place just ahead of the Ferrari. Now, you know that car is a very quick car, as we know, but to see that gap that Rob Lewis has pulled on it is quite amazing, really.
100% Rob Lewis absolutely annihilating the rest of the field right now. You did say Neville Stale in the Skyline there, just holding off Miles Cockram, who was trying to make his way through, but it is a very quick car. We've seen it over the last couple of meetings over this past season, and when it's out front, it is very, very dominant. So to see Rob Lewis pulling away like that definitely tells you something as to how quick Rob Lewis's car is at the moment. Miles Cockram just starting to catch up to the back of Neville Stale.
Yeah, I think he'll get him as they go into the sweeper. No, the power of that Skyline there is for all to see. Oh, we've got a bit of smoke coming out of that Falcon of Rob Lewis.
Yeah, it's been like that for the past couple of laps, Lindsay, so I'm not too sure what's going on. Hopefully nothing serious. Just looking further back, Mike Baker looking up the inside of one of the other Porsche GT3 Cup cars there. That's Chris Childs Jr. Did look like before, Lindsay, we did have David Banks go around just on the exit of the CMG sweeper. Or hairpin, I should say. Rob Lewis currently the fastest lap in this race, 1:29.9, 6 seconds clear of the Nissan of Neville Stale in 2nd.
I don't know how they group these cars every year. I guess there's some probably are in the wrong class and should be in a quicker class, and vice versa. I suggest that Rob Lewis might be put up a peg before the day's finished.
Yeah, Rob Lewis just coming through. Strange to see all that smoke pouring out. I'm not an expert, but wouldn't want to see that coming out of the headers. Looks like Miles Cockrum's just managed to make his way around Neville Stowell. He'll try and chase down Rob Lewis. And Rob Lewis is actually meant to be in a Ford BA Falcon supercar in this class, Lindsay, but he's gone into a Mainland muscle car Chev Camaro.
Oh, he's had that car for quite some time, Josh. That Camaro, and
Yes.
it's been a couple of years since he has run it, but yeah, that's a fearsome car. That is. It's got a NASCAR engine in it.
Yes, and we know how powerful those engines are, especially back in the early 2000s. Maybe not so much now with the restricted horsepower package, but for sure, lots of power under the hood of that car. And 1968 built Chevrolet Camaro. So Rob Lewis just comes through as we get Lewis Lowe, club president, into the pits. So not too sure what's going on with the Datsun 240Z Scarab of Lewis Lowe, but he is into the pits and out of this race. Miles Cockram, a new fastest lap of this race, a 1:29.640. And he's got quite a little bit of work to do to get back up to where Rob Lewis is right now. Just looking back at Darryl Breen. He just navigated his way around James Hotman in the Porsche 993. So the Ford Falcon BA supercar just getting his way through, and it looks like some more smoke coming out of a different car this time. Looks like it is the Starion of Paul Carter.
Oh, we jinxed him a wee bit. Days of old, we used to have our
Black jelly bean.
And that's got someone's stolen the black jelly. Someone who was awarded to has not returned it. I think Paul Carter's just won this year's one. We'll have a pretend one, I think, Josh.
Well, not too bad yet. He's not retired from the race yet, so crossing fingers we don't have to award the fictional Black Jelly Bean Trophy.
We have a last lap board coming out for Rob.
Yeah, I think that'll be something that both Paul Carter and Rob Lewis will want to check out after this race, Lindsay. The
I'd think so.
Smoke coming out.
Yeah, I would think so.
Miles Cockram's closed the gap by 2 seconds, and it is now back down to 4.7. But if he's going to continue to close that gap down by about 2 seconds a lap, he's not going to get to the back of Rob Lewis in this final lap of this race. Marcus Stewart just coming across the line, the Porsche 964 CS.
Oh, you're right.
You're right.
It's fine, yeah.
Just looking a little bit further back, Robert Ralston and the Nissan Bluebirds being put under a bit of pressure by David Banks. And Banks gets that move done. Well, the gap's closed, Lindsay, as they go down through the Parks.
Oh, yes.
Miles Cockram loses the rear end down at the Parks.
I'm thinking that could be a bit greasy through there too.
Yes. He's gotten it going again.
Yes, he's recovered very well from that. That must have been heart and mouth stuff.
Yes. Well, checkered flag's going to fly here for Rob Lewis. He'll take home race 1 of the John Osborne Saloons for SKOPE Classic today, and he's cruising across the line. Hopefully nothing serious with the smoke coming out of the pipes, and coming home second, Neville Stowell, and in third, Miles Cockram. Actually, no, that's not Miles Cockram, that's Braden Phillips in the Chevrolet Monza. Miles Cockram's quite a while back, actually. He's dropped all the way down into 5th. As Jeff Lusky comes across the line, he'll jump up to 4th. And then it'll be Miles Cockram coming across in 5th. Mike Baker home in 6th. Then Marcus Stewart 7th. And then we'll get a bit of a trio across the line. Jim Wallace leading them over Paul Carter, and Darryl Breen just trying to get him on the line. Didn't have enough power to get there. So that rounds off the top 10. So pretty action-packed race there in the first round of the John Osborne Saloons. And looks like we've got Dave Gard down in the pit lane with a couple of drivers in there. So we'll get to Dave here very shortly. But just confirming those quick results quickly. Rob Lewis from Neville Stowell, then Braden Phillips, Jeff Lusky, Miles Cockram, Mike Baker, Marcus Stewart, Jim Wallace, Paul Carter, and Darryl Breen. So a bit of drama and a bit of tribulations for some drivers in this first round of the John Osborne Saloons. So we'll get them back on track a little bit later on this afternoon. Right.
Just down here with Gary Johnson and David Gower. David's come on board with us this weekend to do a bit of interviewing in our lovely little setup we've got down here. So I'm just going to hand it over to him, and he's going to ask a few pertinent questions about this beautiful V12 Jaguar here. So over to you, David.
Thanks very much indeed, Adam. Yeah, standing down here, very fortunate to have Gary Johnson with us, with this magnificent V12 Jag. Gary, just tell us a little bit of the history of the car.
Well, we purchased the car in 2008 and it was a little bit untidy, but the car was always originally raced by a gentleman called Doug Allen. He was from the Dalgety Camaro fame, and so when we got it, we went about and turning it into as close as we could to a Group A car, and we had campaigned the car to 2015. And then was involved in a huge crash in Teretonga, and then went about restoring it to what you see today.
Well, it's an absolute credit to you and your boys. You were out here yesterday, I noticed, going round and round, circulating pretty well as well, I might add. How did you find the track yesterday? You're all happy with the car and the track?
Well, I'm like most race drivers. I went out there yesterday thinking I was going to be faster than I was. But yeah, the car performed well. A little bit slippery in the second session, I thought, but no, qualified well, and looking forward to today.
We just have a quick wander just around the car and just have a very, very close look at it. It is absolutely beautiful, and the engine work, you do all the engine work yourself, or you get that done?
No, we get that done. DCH look after it during the year, and it goes to a good mate of mine, Angus Fogg, once a year, right. And he does his magic with the car. There's still the original engine we got with the car, and it was built by Bill White. We've freshened it a couple of times, yeah, and we like, I suppose we're a little bit of a magpie, so we like shiny things, so yeah.
Well, it's an absolute credit to you, Gary, and all the very, very best for the weekend, and thanks for coming down to talk to us. We're going to have a great weekend at Ruapuna. You can hear behind us the noise. The car's just starting to roll out off the dummy grid, so I guess we better hand off back up to the guys upstairs. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
All right, historic sports sedans. Race number 1 for them this weekend. Rolling start here, and welcoming up to the commentary tower, Brian Kelly. Great to have you up here, Brian. The voice of motorsport over the last, couple of years now? Well, yep, Abbott Insurance down into Abbott Insurance. It's one of the trickiest quarters down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park. Pretty much a double apex as you go down into a quick left-hander, then a hard break into a longer left-hander as we just look down. Stephen Ross in the Ford Mustang. Boy, he's doing a bit of double duty this weekend. Steve Ross running his McRae GM1 in the F5000s, as well as the Ford Mustang here in the historic sports sedans.
Rod, he's in car 40, Rod Grimwood, in the Vauxhall Viva. Right, microphone's on. Been talking to myself.
Little technical issue there, that's okay. First race of the meeting for you, mate, so baptism of fire, really. But it is, as you said, a couple of guys who have been here for a while. You mentioned Rod Grimwood in the Vauxhall Viva, and a couple of Vivas running around here in New Zealand as of late, notable, really. Wayne Perkins' old car being run by his son McGregor down in the pre-78s.
Well, no stopping the Mustang of Steve Ross in the Ford Mustang. Well and truly out in front at the moment. He's got the track to himself. Of course, these are short races too, just 6 laps for them, and just tucked in behind him with a couple of 100 metres difference is Lawrence Nola, the Camaro as well. Grant Brennan Camaro, then Lynn Hatton in the Chevy Camaro, and Dennis Running, great to have him back on track as well, and he's in his Mazda RX-8, so they round out the top 4, the completion of lap 1.
Yep, some pretty interesting racing to come here in these next couple of laps as we just look further back as to, I believe that's Peter Hooper just looking up the inside of Peter Blomfield. So, as I say that, may have jinxed that. Hooper may be slowing down at Abbott Insurance. He has dropped well off the rest of the pack.
Commentators kiss of death, but well and truly out in front as they head towards turn 6, the Fulton Hogan turn. Stephen Ross, Lawrence Nola, Lynn Hatton rounding out the top 3. We mentioned Rod Grimwood in the Vauxhall Viva, car 40. He's down in 12th place overall. Adrian Doby, car 7. And Bruce Goodwin, we mentioned the Ford Zephyr Mark III. How good to see that car. What a big car. A Ford Zephyr Mark III. It's part of these historic sports sedans.
Yep, a 1963 built Ford Zephyr Mark III. Bit of a rare car in New Zealand motorsport nowadays.
Yeah,
right?
You don't see too many of them, that's for sure, even on the roads.
Just looking up here on the screen in the commentary box, we've got car 15 off on the infield, Chris Hatton. So he has stopped just before the CMG motorcycle sweeper. So not too sure what happened there, but looks like it may be a spin with the way he's pointed.
And it doesn't look like it's going to involve a safety car or anything like that. So Ross in front of Nola at the moment. Big gap between the two of them.
Just looking a little bit further back between Dennis Running and John Telford. Those two are pretty close together, having a good scrap.
Yeah, Dennis Running in 4th place overall, been around the Trans Am scene in New Zealand for many, many years. Great to see him back on track now in the fabulous Mazda RX-8.
Well, you're spot on, and it's a bit of a battle with the Mazdas for the 4th spot. The RX-8 against the RX-7 S1. Telford, regular competitor here at Ruapuna, and for sure will be pretty high up the running order in the historic sports sedans class this weekend.
So just 6 laps for this race. We've completed a couple, almost at the halfway stage.
Just looking out front, the 5 of Steve Ross. This is a man who really knows how to pedal cars, Brian. He has pedalled that Ford Mustang. He's got a Jaguar in Oscar, and of course that F5000 he's running this weekend as well. He is pretty much driven about everything.
Well, he'll certainly know the track, that's for sure. He'll know the conditions out there. Virtually ideal for motor racing, with plenty of great racing to come throughout today and tomorrow. Coming up after this race is the John Fairhall Historic Touring Cars. Really looking forward to that one. There's some fabulous cars in that class, as there are in all of them.
Well, you're spot on, and Historic Touring Cars, one of the staples here at SKOPE Classic. Just looking down at Parks a couple of moments ago, we just had Shane Barnes in the Ford Capri Mark 1, just exit stage left a little bit wide and kick up some dust, but all good. He's back on the track at the moment, and our hunting back behind Graham Barnes.
It's me old mate Rod Grimwood in the little Viva, going past the start-finish line to complete the third lap in his Vauxhall Viva, car 40.
Yeah, he's just ahead of a bit of a battle between the 17 of Peter Hooper and the 7 of Adrian Dobb. So those two are scrapping it out. And Grimwood could actually be under a bit of threat here from Adrian Dobb here, Brian. Dobb's gotten around Hooper, so he'll be trying to chase down Grimwood in front of him. This looks like we're going to get a time penalty or a warning coming up here on our time board. Car 327, Peter Britton in the Hilton Avenger Alpine. Just see if that's a time penalty or a warning.
So Steve Ross will complete lap 4. Just a couple to go now. When he comes past the start-finish line, the Ford Mustang out in front, the Camaro of Lawrence Nola in second place, Lynn Hatton in the Camaro. Rounding out the top 3, and then it's John Telford and the RX-7 from Gordon Burr, Dennis Running, Tony Mann, Dave Berry, Jason Froome and Graham Barnes making up the top 10.
Just looking back at David Berry there, Brian, and that Holden HQ has been running here over the last couple of meetings down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park, and it's been pretty dang competitive as well. David's done a pretty good job driving that Holden HQ around this track, and some pretty good lap time set as well. And he's running 8th spot at the moment.
Passing manoeuvre coming up, and we're getting close. Around through turn 2, the Abbott corner going into West Coast Straight. Just keep your eyes on a couple of cars there.
Looks like we've just got one looped it up.
Gordon Burr.
Yep, just down at one of the S's, it looks like. No, he's just down at the Euromarque.
And it's all facing the wrong way too. Yeah. Not a healthy position to be in. Hopefully he's kept it ticking over and he can get it back. Yeah, he has.
So he's just
last lap board is just being handed out now to our race leader. Keep an eye out as our race leader will come round, and there it is. What a dominant performance. Absolutely. Stephen Ross, what the length, exact length of the start-finish straight in front of his next competitor. That's a huge, huge lead. Lawrence Nola on his last lap, and then Lynn Hatton. They make out the top 3, and then you've got to go way, way back. Another big gap to the next place car that just comes on to the main straight again now.
Yep, John Telford just coming across the line now. Gap between the front two, 12 and almost a half seconds, 12.3 seconds between Steve Ross and Lawrence Nola. And tell you what, it's one of the most stock-looking cars in this field, with all the modified cars behind him, Brian. So Steve Ross putting an absolute clinic on right now.
Dennis Running going past us now, because that was the ex-Kieran Wills Aztec Mazda from back in the day as well, so that was a very quick car in its day. And Dennis Running is running in 6th place in the RX-8, just behind him the HQ Holden of Dave Berry.
Well, just through Parks for the final time here for Steve Ross. He may come up on a bit of lap traffic as he goes down through into the CMG motorcycle sweeper, and it looks like Gordon Bird just going to try and coast into pit lane. It's not going to stop the race, though, as we get out of the CMG sweeper for the final time, and it is going to be their first race of the Historic Sports Sedans, going to Steve Ross. He'll take the checkered flag and bring that race win home. Big gap back to Lawrence Nola in 2nd spot. He's just coming across and out of the CMG sweeper now. And he'll come home into second spot with a 13.2 second gap. So Ross extending that gap another second that lap. Lynn Hatton going to come across the line in third. And Brian, what a clinic from Steve Ross just to pull out such a winning margin.
Well, 2 races down and 2 absolute dominant performances by drivers today, but not so much about the racing as well. It really is about just seeing these fabulous cars of yesteryear, the historic sports sedans, just doing their thing, fired up in anger as we prepare for another historic group of cars that'll be out on the track very, very shortly. And again, it'll be a rolling start for the John Fairhall historic touring cars, and I'm really impressed by the lineup of those. So we'll watch and see what happens shortly and get down to the pits with Dave Gow to get a few more stories from pit lane.
Sitting on the pits down here, ready to go out and do battle here at Ruapuna, of course, the only place to race. What a fantastic circuit it is, and everybody has done so much hard work to get it how it looks now. The man I'm going to talk to is no stranger to Ruapuna and no stranger to motorsport anywhere in New Zealand, Kane Scott. Kane, welcome back to Ruapuna Park. How's everything going with you?
Oh, having a ball. It's a great meeting, and I'm just glad to be here.
It's been a long time since we've seen such a fantastic range of touring cars, particularly at Ruapuna, and this class just seems to be getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, the SKOPE meeting is certainly a special one on the calendar, isn't it? You know, not just the historic touring cars, but all of those classes. I look at the Oscars that are running now, you know, can't help but think about all those memories of those cars that I used to compete with.
Some of those guys were around almost as long as you, Kane.
Oh, I think some of them are a fair bit longer than me when I look at it.
Absolutely. Well, look, your car looks absolutely immaculate. We hope you have a fantastic day. We know you will here at the SKOPE. How did you find practice yesterday?
I've got to admit that front-wheel drive is certainly a new experience for me. You know, it's like take the front seats and put them in the back, and take the back and put them in the front. You know, that's how it feels. But hey, I'm having a ball. It's great fun.
Terrific. Thanks very much for your time indeed, Kane, and all the very best of luck. Well, Ruapuna today is going to be a fantastic day, today and tomorrow. Extremely well, thank you. Mr. Miles.
There you go.
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Everything all right with the car? You happy with the way things are going?
Yeah. Wish we could have more cars going, but we've got 2 going, so that's a start.
That's a great start. Bruce, all the very best to you, mate, and have a great drive. All righty, we'll pass you back to the commentary team.
Okay, we turn our attention now to the John Fairhall Historic Touring Cars, and this is an absolutely wonderful array, a collection of cars that most of them are the originals, coming from various championships around the world, from Europe, from Australia, from Great Britain, and of course from locally here in New Zealand. BK, a few memories here for us, us old timers who've been around this scene for a while.
Speak for yourself, but yeah, it certainly does bring back memories. And when you see cars like that BMW, the ex Tony Longhurst BMW, or the Trevor Crowe BMW, and Greg Murphy out front there, he led them out in his BMW, certainly BMWs to the fore, but you know, brings back the days of the Nissan Mobile race series on the streets of Wellington and at the Pukekohe circuit, when cars like this were just absolutely dominant, and it's great to see them. The Ford Sierra Cosworth out there, Craig Innes in his car. So many wonderful memories. Robert McCullum also in his Ford Sierra RS Cosworth, but Murphy, I think in qualifying yesterday, was the quickest car, so he'll lead them through, and again it'll be a rolling start for these cars.
Oh yeah, look at those yellow BMWs, one with Longhurst's name on the side, Brian. I remember, I believe you and I were standing together at Wellington in 91 or 92, and he got slammed into that Armco on the main straight there at Wellington. That was horrific, wasn't it?
I was lucky enough at that Wellington street race to be taken the day before around the track with Tony Longhurst, sat in the passenger seat, and went for a ride around that circuit, and then standing right on the track when John Sachs collided with him, and actually was doing a live commentary on what was then Sports Roundup, and got some comments from Tony, but he was smacked around quite severely.
He was quite, but he
Took
was
a hell of a hit. But yeah, Greg Murphy in the 95 BMW 318i, which was actually originally campaigned by Alex Bergstaller in the 95 STW under the Team Benghazi banner, and actually won a race at the Nürburgring and finished in 7th place in the championship of that year in 1995. The car then went to Australia, ran in the Australian touring cars, and then Bruce Miles, who now owns the car, campaigned it with Murray Cleland in Bathurst events. And there it is, right in front of you now, and you can just see, and it does bring back those memories.
And the 05 Commodore there is a genuine Peter Brock driven car from 93, I believe it is. 93, I think it is.
Lovely look at the XJS Jaguar too. Again, another great memory.
The Alan Dippy Rover Vitesse, it's a Walkinshaw prepared car for the 85 and 86 European Touring Car Championship. And it goes on, and unfortunately the Ford Sierra of Lance Copeland is not there. Unfortunately, it was out yesterday, which was the number 6 in the Dick Johnson stable. Hope that car's back before the day is finished. This goes on, the history of some of these cars, and I just quote from their articles of association, so to speak, in their preamble, that the John Historic Touring Cars is an association of historic touring car enthusiasts. They showcase genuine touring cars from New Zealand, Australia, Europe and Asia from 1970 through to 2000. So the word I believe in there is genuine. They're lucky to be able to afford that luxury, really, because as in the single seaters and in the open cars, we've got a lot of replicas that are around now, because the originals are just not there, or they're just far too expensive to source now, with the Americans and the Europeans gobbling them up.
Keep your eyes on the 177 car as well, and you'll see it next to Greg Murphy. That's Kane Scott, of course, famous over the years in the Trans Am Championship, but now he is back driving an ex-Matt Neal British touring car, Nissan Primera.
I believe that's a winning one, is it not, Brian?
Yep,
I think it could be a winning one of the BTC.
All right, so lining up, they'll come on to the main straight for a rolling start, and two icons of New Zealand motorsport leading them through onto the main straight. Greg Murphy and Kane Scott. BMW versus Nissan Primera. How exciting is that? Look at it. Some of the best touring cars in the world before our eyes.
Murph's grabbing that jump all right, but look at the 05 go through it from the inside there.
And also the Peanut Slab Sierra, I think, starting to make a move as well up there. But yeah, certainly Murph is probably just hasn't quite got the horsepower of that 05 Commodore.
That 05 Commodore.
Lost two up there in turn 1, 3.
That 05 Commodore driven by Kane Lawson, a well-known personality here. Well, he's not. He's the Mag and Turbo man who's responsible for our club days. So it's great to see. Great to see him out there in a car like this.
We've got 3 cars around at turn 1 actually, so whether they get restarted or not, there's still one parked on the grass down there.
But look at that Commodore go. Man, I thought those Sierras would be, well, that Sierra of the Peanut Slab would be right amongst this. There's quite a gap now that
although it has been shut down just a little bit, but there's certainly, you could say Peter Brock out there in the 05, bringing back some memories.
That's what you feel like saying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But look at that. The race now for second, third, fourth, fifth, all bunching up side by side through there. Murph's in amongst it. He'll be loving it.
I think Murph still races as though he's racing for Bathurst or somewhere. He's got to win, and I sort of understand it's in the blood. But I'm sure Kane Scott's a bit the same, actually.
See, look at them. The race for second is fantastic at the moment. I think that's Scott O'Donnell in the Peanut Slab car.
Did you expect this, though?
Oh, well, he sort of did, really.
Oh, this with the Commodore?
No, not quite.
No,
but Scott O'Donnell, number 4. He'll go through second. Then Murph, Scott, Cameron, Graham Cameron, Nick Donaldson. What a race. They mean business out there.
Trevor Crowe goes through in the lovely Group A 635. Trevor won the 1985 Zealand Touring Car Championship in that car.
Kane Lawson out in front has set the fastest lap of a 1:33.535. So quickest lap for him overall, just absolutely dominant. We'll forget about him. The big question is who's going to get second, third.
Who's going to head off Kane Scott now? Murph's tucked in behind.
He's giving Scott O'Donnell a run for his money, that's for sure. Scott will be, looking in his rear vision mirrors, knowing that is Murph just behind him. And then just behind Greg Murphy is Kane Scott in the Primera. And the Zach Speed BMW of Graham Cameron is sort of just keeping all of them honest out in front. And there goes Murph, makes the move on the Peanut Slab car. They'll come through there side by side, but Murph, I think, might just sneak in front and grab second place. Yes, he does. Greg Murphy up into second place. Scott O'Donnell dropped back 1, and Kane Scott now lying in wait to pounce on Scott O'Donnell in the Peanut Slab Ford Sierra Cosworth.
And Alan Dippy having a lonely race back there behind the main pack, or the chasing pack.
Kane Scott having another little dabble on Scott O'Donnell as they come onto the main straight again. So Greg Murphy now stretches his legs on that Beamer. He's up to second place comfortably. Scott O'Donnell just sitting in third. And a real race now going on for fourth. And I think Kane Scott locked up the brakes a bit going into turn 1. Graham Cameron sitting right behind him with Nick Donaldson next in his E30 BMW. And then Alan Dippy in the Rover Vitesse. Keep your eye on Kane Scott just to see if he can close down that gap that Scott O'Donnell has. They're halfway, coming up to the halfway mark. It'll be the completion of lap 3 when they cross the line this time for the 05 car of Kane Lawson.
Just looking back in the field a bit and looking at some of the history. Car number 8, the BMW of Warren Good, the green one. This is the car that Tim Harvey won the 1992 British Touring Car Championship in. and it's a car that team leader SKOPE was leading going into the last race, and he collided with John Cleland, whose name appears on the side of the Peter Brock car in front of us.
Look at Murphy. Yeah. He's closed the lead right down. Kane Lawson in the 05 car.
Oh,
Murph is just 1 length behind him. Here we go. Murph makes the move. Tightens it up a wee bit. Doesn't quite have enough horsepower to get past him.
You wait till the tight stuff.
Halfway mark. Scott O'Donnell, 3rd place. There's the race for 4th and 5th. Graham Cameron makes the move. He shoots up on the inside of Kane Scott and will grab 4th place, or does he? Kane Scott locks up the rears going into turn number 2. But there's Murphy. Just keep your eyes on the race lead. He's closing again through the tighter stuff.
Well, here we come now, the tighter stuff, Brian. We'll have the hairpin. Then we'll go through the twisty stuff in the midfield. Now, look, he's right up his bumper right now. Now we'll see how this transpires now.
This is a good race, but the Beamer obviously loves the tighter stuff. That's for sure. The bigger Commodore, bit of a handful going into the tight stuff and almost loses it. There we go. What a race going on for 1st and 2nd. It's the Commodore versus the BMW, and Murphy gets past.
He's gone around the outside, but as they straighten up, he'll have the outside and the Commodore on the inside, but no, Murph's got the middle of the battle all right.
The big, powerful Commodore, though, will get the straight coming up when they come onto the main straight. He's keeping him honest.
He's keeping that gap, yeah, you're right, keeping that gap reasonably honest, isn't he?
And Scott O'Donnell's being closed down again now with Graham Cameron making a move on him, and Kane Scott staying close to Cameron as well. So here we go, and Murphy and the Commodore, the BMW
they're side by side. They're side by side as they exit at the sweeper.
Now this is where the Commodore will have the legs on Murphy, moves to the inside and goes for it. Sheer power in a straight line. The completion of lap number 4. A couple of laps to go. Murph will hang in there. He knows it's going to be able to catch him in the tighter stuff, and already out of that turn he closes the gap down to just 1 car length. And here we go. Watch the BMW move again on the Commodore.
He won't do it. He won't do it here, Brian. Going into the hairpin, he might be able to outbrake him, but
here he goes.
And as long as he gets his line right, he'll be able to achieve that. Here we go. Yep. Yes, he's got the inside running all right.
Late braking and makes the move, but the Commodore will keep him honest again, tucks in behind.
He'll make a wee gap as they go through here.
Great race.
As they go around the carousel, it'll be the BMW. He'll hold station here. I believe he'll hold it until they come into the main straight again.
He needs to just get a few extra metres on that Commodore so he can get away on the main straight when they come around. It'll be last lap board when they come through this time. So Greg Murphy at the moment leading Kane Lawson. And look at that race for 3rd. Scott O'Donnell managing to keep the BMW and the Nissan Primera out. So here we go. The Commodore, the 05 Commodore makes the move on Murphy, goes down the inside. But will Murphy allow him to do that? They're side by side coming onto the main straight.
But there, watch the power of the Commodore now, though. Murph's as cunning as they come, though.
Across.
Here we go. Last lap boards there. Now, if it carries out the way it's going,
right, what's going to happen?
The Commodore will win by a car length, right?
We'll have to wait and see. Murph needs to put more than a couple of car lengths on him as they get onto the main straight again to get the checkered flag. So Murphy again in the BMW, closing down the Commodore.
But more of a gap. No, here he goes now as they go through the dipper.
Commodore's in front there, Murphy again.
And he gets the inside.
Good line.
Yeah, I think that suits Lawson, that line. He doesn't mind being on the inside going through there because he's getting that good. Here he comes with the power of the Commodore now as they head into the carousel.
This is great stuff. The John Fairhall historic touring cars. We've got a race on our hands. Who's going to win it? Ruapuna.
Meanwhile, Kane Scott's got a wee gap now for 3rd place. It's quite comfortable now for Scott.
Murph might actually catch one of the tail enders as they
oh yeah, that's right, he might do
make
too.
Things interesting, but he's got a
in fact he will. That Corona there from the New Zealand Touring Car Champ Beatty, I think is going to cause a wee problem here as they go down to the sweeper for the last time. No, Murph's through, Lawson's through, and Lawson will go up the inside as they go around the sweeper.
This is where Greg Murphy needs to
Now,
hold his
Greg
line.
got to hold this line.
And
He's got
bigger lead.
He's got a bigger lead this time. Now he's not.
Can he do it as the?
He's going to get there.
Puts the medal to the middle.
Yes.
1 car length. What a race.
Kane Scott holds on to second place. Oh, I can't tell who was third, Brian.
Scott O'Donnell coming home in the Ford Sierra Cosworth in third place. Graham Cameron was fourth. Kane Scott was fifth. Nick Donaldson coming across in sixth place overall. And then Alan Dippy with Matt O'Donnell.
Trevor Crowe is 9, and Lindsay O'Donnell in the Volvo rounds out your top 10. Now, if that's the start of what we're going to have for the rest of the meeting, PK, bring it on.
Love it. John Fairhall, historic touring cars. One of the best races so far here. Early days of our big SKOPE Classic weekend at Ruapuna.
And we hope everyone on the front straight can hear us now. We had a few technical difficulties with that, so that's been resolved. We hope. If it's not, can you let us know, please? Our next race is the Silvester Saloons. And before we get underway there, I'd just like to remind everybody about the food stalls on both sides of the track. On the just behind on the hairpin, there's a free bouncy castle for the kids there as well, and there's a food stall behind the pit area here on the main straight by the control tower. So we will, I guess, pass over to our Australian resident, who's now resident, Mr. Gow, very shortly, and we'll be back soon ourselves.
All right, well, here we are back down in the pits again, just waiting. I think everything's just waiting for the thumbs up from my director. A big welcome to everyone at Euromarque, of course, Euromarque Park. What a fantastic range of cars they have for sale down there in town. Go down and see them, and I know that they'll be only too happy to talk to you about it. They've also got a bit of a display of cars down the far end of the pits here. We're just at the moment, we're standing here right alongside an absolute stalwart of the Classic. We've got Grant Silvester in Dad's car. Grant, how many years have we been running this car?
Oh, Dave, we've run this car now, I think 26 years. I started driving this when I was 23. I'm 61 now, so yeah, it's a great privilege to be able to bring a bit of old history out.
And I must admit that it would not be the same without having the big coupe here, number 66, on the side of it. Grant, have you done much to the car in the off-season, if you like?
Oh, we've just given it a little freshen up with the motor. The motor needed a little bit of TLC, so we've given it a rings, bearings and gaskets, and yeah, that's pretty much it. A little bit of front suspension work to keep it on the track, and yeah, we're looking forward to this weekend, absolutely.
Fantastic, and it's great to see you here and great to see the car as well. Sydenham Park Car Sales, of course, they're synonymous with the SKOPE Classic right here at Euromarque Park at Ruapuna. Just having a bit more of a wander around. Thank you very much indeed, Grant. Just having a bit of a wander around. One of the unusual cars here, it's a, well, it's a Falcon, believe it or not. A beautiful Falcon. I just might put my head in here if I may. Excuse me, guys, could I just have a... Thanks. Leon, Graham, sorry, how's everything going?
Excellent, having a great time. The car's absolutely magnificent to drive.
It looks absolutely fabulous too, but a little bit awkward on the other side of the road maybe.
Yeah, but we get used to it, yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. I'm very blessed to be able to be out here driving it, yeah. No, a lot of fun. I love it here at the SKOPE.
Oh, great. And it is, what a fantastic meeting it is that the Canterbury Car Club do it every year, and they just can't help themselves. And every year it gets bigger and bigger, Graham. How many years have you been coming?
I've been coming for probably as long as it's been running here, 30-odd years. I've tried to be back for the SKOPE, and I've raced here since 1964 or 65, so I've been here a long time.
That's back to the beginning of the days when it was still shingle to get out here in those days.
Yeah, and it was a 1 mile track, yeah.
That's it, it was too. Well, all the very best indeed, and I must admit the car does look an absolute picture. if we can just wander over here a little bit towards the another team of cars that have been a stalwart of the SKOPE Classic for many, many years, and a young lady that gave my wife the ride of her life many years ago when we were on the Variety Club Bash. Debbie, how's everything?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Nice to see you. You're looking fabulous, and the car looks fabulous as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be a great day, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. And it's quite a family affair here now.
Yeah, we've got my son as well as my husband and I.
So your mum not only at home, but you have to be mum at the racetrack as well.
Sorry?
You have to be mum at the racetrack as well at home.
Yeah.
All the very best to you, Debbie. And the little Fiat X19, been around for a long time as well. The car, and Debbie and her husband Dennis over there in the back of the 969, and 969 is the son. We're just having a bit more of a wander around through the pits and see who we can have a talk to before they head out. All sorts of cars at Euromarque Park. They come here to enjoy themselves, and boy, that's exactly what they do. Rick, how's it going?
Good. Oh, very good, thank you.
Everything all right with the car? You're happy with how it's progressing?
I am up to this point. We've had a little bit of an oil leak, but we seem to have solved that problem. Having a wonderful day, well worth coming down from Marlborough for this.
So you've come all the way down from Marlborough, but as you say, an oil leak, that's it wouldn't be an Alfa Romeo without an oil leak, would it?
Indeed, that's exactly right.
Well, have a fantastic weekend here at the SKOPE. We're really enjoying having guys like this down all the way down from Marlborough. It may not sound very far, but when you've got to bring something as beautiful as this down and keep it in pristine condition as it is, as we see it sitting on the pit road, it's a pretty big job. Just moving down now to getting out towards the fast end of the field. A very, very quick Mustang, and has been for a number of years. Phil, you come down here every year, and every year you amaze us with the extra speed you've got.
I think what's slowing it down now is my age. I'm going to be going slower this weekend.
I find that very hard to believe, because the car looks absolutely immaculate as per normal. Every time you arrive out here, it is an absolute picture, and a credit to you. Have you done much to it in the off-season?
Yeah, we've rebuilt the engine. But hey, listen, I love coming down here. This is my track of choice and my car club of choice. These guys look after me. Just great to be here. Fantastic. I love it.
Very, very pleased to hear it, and thank you. And you're more than welcome. The Canterbury Car Club says thank you to you for coming and joining us at the SKOPE Classic this weekend. Well, if you look at the cars that are sitting on the grid, these are some of the very, very fast machines that are going to be here at Euromarque Park this weekend at the SKOPE Classic. The 35th running, I might add, of the SKOPE Classic as well. It's been a stalwart of New Zealand motorsport, or particularly Canterbury motorsport, for a number of years now, and it's just going from strength to strength, every year getting bigger and bigger. But we still attract guys like this, Phil Hoffman, who's been coming down here for years. The car is magnificent, the fields are magnificent. Guys, these guys are just about ready to roll out, so we'll pass you back up to the commentary team up in the Dave Cook commentary box.
right, Silvester Saloons, their first race here at SKOPE Classic this weekend, and boy, we have some very elite cars in this field. And tell you what, Lindsay, we've got some great cars, great drivers, and a whole lot of action to come in this field.
Yeah, we have for sure. It's another good field, Josh. And I guess being Ron Silvester Saloons, we really have to make mention of Grant Silvester out there in the Chev Coupe, unmistakable out there. And if those of you don't know that Ron Silvester was Grant's dad, and Ron Silvester was one of the pioneers of this track here in the early 60s, and one of the ones who was here with a shovel and his trailer and that every weekend to help prepare this track. And he was very successful in the coupe. Only did the tracks around Canterbury, and perhaps his most famous incident was his accident he had when he rolled the car because he was wearing jandals and got his jandal stuck.
Oh,
and so, yeah, that's the history.
Well, I guess that's why MSNZ has strict safety requirements.
Well, that's one of the reasons why things sort of have changed. You've got to wear appropriate shoes.
Well, just looking at Grant Silvester's Chevrolet Coupe, that's the oldest car in the SKOPE Classic field, I think, by far. 1938 built. And that's preceding, of course, everything that's happened since. So
yeah, you're right. There's looking through the field, there's some good old names here. I think Murray Bones in there, and his pre-78 Anglia, the green one, car 242. I'd like to mention car number 86, Stewart Air, all the way from Huntly in the North Island with his RX3. Yes. Now, it's a long time since I've seen Stewart Air, and he was I met him in the rally scene back in the, I'm thinking it's the 80s. Yeah, it would be the 80s, Josh. Stewart Air from Huntly, and there he is, and he's come down with his RX3.
How good is that? Just looking
How
through
good
the
is that?
field, Lindsay, we've got two pretty special cars in there as well. Bert Govan in his Jaguar MK2, and following that, Tim Stace in the Jaguar E-Type. Those are two very, very special cars, and great to see Tim running that Jaguar E-Type, especially, of course, after I believe it was Jeremy's passing, was it?
Yeah, Jeremy Stace and Tim, his son, has taken over that car that Jeremy Stace ran. Him and Bert Govan used to run for years and years together, same meetings when there's a lot of Jaguars around. But yeah, Tim and his dad's legacy has kept the car, and I think Tim flies down when it come race time. So it's a wonderful memory and testament to Jeremy, who we miss from the SKOPE. He was a regularly competitor here at SKOPE. And on pole is the Hoffman, Phil Hoffman Mustang, all the way from Pāiatua, another North Islander, a loyal North Islander that comes down here every meeting. The pair of them, and him and his wife come down, and they both race.
It's great to see old Mustangs like that. Lindsay, of course, Philip's car.
Oh, there's Craig Hyland beside him. He's a newcomer here, I believe. He's come down from Auckland with his V8 powered HQ Holden. And I can't go away from car 969, who's Dale Chapman in the Theatre Bath. You'll find his parents in Dennis in 696 and his mum Debbie in 353. The Chapman family have been involved with this meeting from day one, 35 years ago, and Dennis and Jenny were on the organising committee then.
All right, well, we'll get everything underway here for the first race of the Ron Silvester Saloons. Here we go. 5 red lights. And we're underway. Good start, but a little bit of wheel spin there for Craig Hyland. And a bit of a bogged down start there for Dale Chapman. So we just watched one of the cars going off on the berm. Just getting a little bit of airtime there, Lindsay.
Yes, indeed.
Also in this field, car 989, Guy Stewart is the second of 2 cars. He's got car 27 out there as well in one of the other fields. That's his IROC car, I believe.
Yeah, that is the IROC car. I noticed that quite a few Alfa Romeos, which is great, considering this the first sponsor of this meeting was indeed at the local Alfa Romeo dealers, and it was known as the Alfa Classic, BP Alfa Classic in its first years, and the Alfa. So it's good to see 4 or 5 Alfas in this Alfa Romeos in this field.
Well, you're absolutely right. It looks like we may have a black jelly bean award already.
Well,
we've got one of the
that'll be the third one that we've of the day.
Well, they've got going again, so lucky break, but one of the 3 Fiat X1/9 Abarth replicas, and we've got off to a good start in the Black Jelly Bean Award.
Well, yeah, well, I'm still a bit upset about the Black Jelly Bean Award, Josh. The trophy, which there was a trophy, has never been handed back in from about 3 years ago. So someone out there, a competitor, has the Black Jelly Bean trophy, and they have no doubt eaten the black jelly beans, though. I bet they have.
If they have,
we always used to fill it with black jelly beans.
Those are the licorice flavoured ones, aren't they?
Hey?
Those are the licorice flavoured ones, aren't they?
I've never been awarded the Black Jelly Bean trophy. I don't know. There's Bruce Henderson doing a good job there in car 16. Bruce Henderson in the RX3.
Well, he almost just got past Philip Hoffman down that straight. And looking a little bit further back, Craig Highlands dropped quite a few places on that initial start. 3 wide going down the straight. So everyone just starting to exchange places quite a bit here, Lindsay, as we look. It was Tim Stace, Bruce Stewart, and Kerry Smallridge going at it down into Abbott Insurance. Philip Hoffman just leading them down into Euromarque Hairpin, and Bruce Henderson tailing in behind with Brett McCulloch, one of the regulars here down at Euromarque Motorsport.
Yeah, and the Zac Speed S Mark II Escort. Lovely car, that.
Brilliant car. So many Escorts out rallying these days. A little bit less.
I think it's Zac Speed, that car.
That would make sense.
And not Broad Speed. I think it's Zac Speed. I'm sure someone will be quick to tell us if we get that one wrong anyway. Funny that we get it right, they don't say it, and they get it wrong, we find out about it, don't we? Yeah, Phil Hoffman heading off Bruce Henderson and his evergreen RX3. I say evergreen because he's run it for as long as I can remember, just about.
Well, he's actually got the fastest lap of this race on that first lap. It was actually 2 seconds a lap faster than what Philip Hoffman and the Mustang had managed. So.
Yeah, see, Bruce has got the fastest lap. Josh, 1:47.
2:36.
Yeah.
Brett McCulloch has just gotten around Philip Hoffman, so Hoffman's starting to struggle through those corners, but he gets the power down the straights and is able to pass everyone through. So it's a really interesting Titanic sort of battle at the front of this field.
It's a bit similar to our historic touring cars, that battle out front, and that Hoffman's got the Mumbo and the Mustang on the straight, but the more nimble RX3.
Tell you what, as they crossed the stripe that last time, Lindsay, 1,000th of a second between Hoffman and Henderson, so they went across the line.
I tell you, he's doing a good job. Josh is Jonathan Phillips, and he was one of the first campaigners of the Rennsport class here in Canterbury.
Yes.
So I'd say with that car going now, he'll be back in action with Rennsport soon.
Well, that's good to see, and the more Rennsport competitors, the better, I think. That class is fantastic.
That head of the field's all grouping up quite nicely, isn't it?
It is. I think we're in for, tell you what, Lindsay, from what we've seen so far in just 4 races, we're in for a right real zinger of a SKOPE Classic.
Hey, look at the old the Bertie Govan in the 427 Jag and Grant Silvester in the coupe. Yep.
Only at SKOPE.
Only at SKOPE. Yes, quite right. Followed by the Fiat Abarth and our good mate Moribone. And there's Stuart Air behind there in the RX3 coupe. Yep, it's all good stuff. But out front, let's not forget what's going on out front where the cameras are too.
The 1965 Ford Mustang driven by Philip Hoffman holding on right now.
And here's McCulloch has just gone inside of Bruce Henderson, and it'll all be about the exit speed. It looks as though that he might get the run on Bruce.
Here comes Guy Stewart as well, Lindsay.
Well, here's Guy Stewart. And Bruce is hanging on.
3 wide down the straight.
Yeah, but look at Craig Highland in the HQ V8. He went on through the inside. He went on through the inside.
Wow. What a scrap. It looks like someone's just dropped a wheel onto the gravel there. That is Brett McCulloch, I think, and he's gone off at Abbott Insurance.
Well, something had to happen after what was going on there, Josh, didn't they? I mean, they entered there really not quite 4 wide, but by gosh, it was close to it.
Oh, yeah, and he is stopped at the gravel trap, so I'd have to say, Lindsay, that may be another Black Jelly Bean Award plus the safety car.
Yeah.
if we're looking at that right, he is beached, and I would say with the purpose of the gravel trap, he is certainly not getting out of that anywhere anytime soon. Safety car is lurking.
Safety car is lurking. Let's hope it can be avoided. Don't like safety cars.
No, we don't like safety cars down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park.
No, not at all.
We've got the rescue crews on their way. So we'll just wait and see what race officials decide to do with the remainder of this race as we watch the battle for the lead raging on. Philip Hoffman on the inside, Guy Stewart on the outside. Stewart trying to find a way through, and safety car is deployed.
Safety car has been deployed, yeah.
Well,
yeah, and a good run from Craig Holland in the big V8 there. He's done a good job to get up to the front there. He's dropped off. Yeah, Bruce Henderson's been dropped off, as is the Jonathan Phillips in that lovely BMW. So is that Escort, Mark 1 Escort of is it Leighton Hammond 773?
There is Philip Hoffman just coming across the stripe.
Passing. Yeah, there's Leighton Hammond all the way from Martin in the Manawatu, is it Manawatu, Wanganui area? Yes.
Well, I did want to briefly mention a little bit about that Mustang that Philip Hoffman's driving.
Yeah.
Just a Mustang, it's in general, Lindsay, with the 1965s to around the 70s, those Mustangs were really at their peak. And then they started to wane off into the 80s and 90s with different variations and designs. And then Ford's brought them back on the early 2010s with some great looking cars now. And yeah, they kind of transitioned from a bit of a muscle car to a bit of a pony car.
That's good research, Josh, you're right, it did. When they started off in 65, when the first Mustangs came out, the first to their imagination.
Brilliant.
Completely.
They still are. They're still brilliant looking cars.
You know, and the first racing Mustang in New Zealand was in Auckland, and my memory's not, I've forgotten who it was that put the first Mustang together. And then, but you're right, and when the design changed in the late 80s and that, they weren't that crash hot to look at.
Yeah, definitely not. And I'm glad they've brought back the kind of traditional sort of design that they've got now with the Ford Mustang. Of course, you see it really everywhere these days out on the roads, the 2010s, 2020 versions of the Mustang, and for sure.
I eye them quite jealously, actually.
Yes. Okay, I've got a mate who's got one.
Yeah.
Flexes on every phone call I have with him.
He's too young to have one. Where do you get the money from?
That's my question.
You go and rob a bank or something. But you can't do that now.
No, you can't.
Because they wouldn't. Well, you can, but they wouldn't have that much cash in the till. Well, there's ram raids, of course, but you wouldn't be able to have enough in there to buy a Mustang. Enough to go down to the dairy and buy a milkshake.
Well, it looks like they're going to wave the checkered flag on this one here, Lindsay, and it is going to be Philip Hoffman who takes that one out.
We're only 4 laps into it, but yeah, well, yes, they would have done 6 laps probably by the time they finished this now anyway.
Yeah, they're pulling Brett McCulloch out of the gravel trap. That was a great
That was
scrap.
some good racing there. That was some excellent racing.
Tell you what, it's going to be adrenaline pumping racing for the rest of the weekend, I think. Even though it's a classic car meeting, everyone's going guns blazing for it. So you won't want to miss a moment, folks.
So Phil Hoffman all the way from Payatua in the north will be credited with that win as he comes across the line now under Indian file, and it will be Guy Stewart will be second.
Who is the fastest lap of this race, 1:39.9. He was really hunting down Hoffman.
Yeah, and then a good race there from Craig Hyland. And then there's Bruce Henderson and Leighton Hammond.
Right, Pat Hoare, 4-minute Libre with what looks to be Matt Butchart on the pole, and alongside Steve Donaldson. And then we go to Henry Thomas Kircher and Hamish Carpenter. And then the Formula Subaru of Avon Dunn.
My favourite cars in this field, Josh, of all the cars here this weekend, my favourite car is on the front row here. And guess which one it is?
Steve Donaldson's.
You've got it. The Brabham BT21. Love it.
How
it is
good.
Magnificent.
How good. Brabham, of course, built some great cars in their time. And we're going to get themselves underway.
Whoops.
Looks like a bit of a wheel spin for Matt Butchart there. But it is from the Libre field that gets underway.
It's a big field too, isn't it?
It is.
It's a big field.
Down into Abbott Insurance. See if we can catch who the leader is. Looks like it is Steve Donaldson, as far as I can tell, who is leading. It is Steve Donaldson over Matt Butchart. Then we go back to Henry Thomas Kircher.
This is the replica of Brabham, I must say to you, but it's been beautifully built by, well, I'm not sure, I know Steve had a fair hand in it. But beautiful car, absolutely love it, as I've been rabbiting on.
This is your moment of glory with a certain car, Lindsay.
Up
here will be jagged.
I was very upset when he parked it up for a while and used a Formula Ford, but at least I'm very pleased that Steve's brought this car out.
Yeah, Steve, a couple of cars he's driven over the last couple of seasons. He's obviously driven this Brabham. I think he did it at last year's SKOPE, was it? This year?
What's that?
The Brabham.
He hasn't driven the Brabham here for about 3 or 4 years, no.
Okay.
No, it's just a treasure. Also in the field there, I've got to look at that. The canary yellow car 42, the Irish-built Crossley, raced by Michael Clark, well-known motorsport historian, who a lot of you will know. Well, Michael, he's deciding that he's going to join the Stars and race himself, so he's come down from Auckland. Car 32, there we go, him and Baldrick racing side by side.
Yeah, of course, good to see old Baldrick out there, Peter Grant in the Eldon PH25. Fastest lap so far of this race, 1:37.0 by Matt Butchart. And Matt as well is truly clear of what is Steve Donaldson in second, and then Henry Thomas Kircher in third. And the Andy McElroy Championship winning car for New Zealand Formula 4, that's driven by Hamish Carpenter. Gone through a number of hands over the years, Lindsay, that car. Hamish Carpenter, the most recent, obviously, to drive it. Matt Hamilton's driven it in past as well.
Yeah, and the most recent was Hamilton. Matt.
Yes.
Who just about won the South Island title in that car, didn't he?
He did.
Only 2 or 3 years ago. Yes, he did. Matt Hamilton, who's won here in a Formula Atlantic. No, I lied. TRS car.
So that car is still very much well and truly in date. The RF88 really competes in historic Formula Ford nowadays, Lindsay. But tell you what, still well and truly up to pace with the current modern era of Formula Ford cars.
Isn't that Brabham gorgeous?
I know.
Oh.
Just behind it, the Ray 87F of Henry Thomas Kircher. That's one car I'd be interested to see put against the current day of Formula Fords.
Yeah.
That car is
very
historic Formula Fords has been.
I think the driver's pretty capable too, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Put those two together in one field with the New Zealand Formula Fords. That could be something.
I just saw car 23 go there on the screen there. Car 23 is an interesting car. John Mines and the JRM Mark II. 1967 that car was built by John himself. He had sold it, but he bought it back again. So that's quite an amazing little story to see him out there with that car, and it's still very competitive.
Well, you're absolutely right. And looking just a little bit further back behind Ian Clements in the Reynard 84F. That it's just flipped, our screen's just flipped up, so I don't tell you who's behind him there. But Ian, one of the regular competitors here in Formula Libre, he's a bit brave when it comes to that Reynard. we've had rain a couple of years here at SKOPE, and he's always been the first one out on slicks.
Well, memory kept, Josh. That's very good. I think you remember too. He is too. Yep.
Just sitting behind him is Avon Dunn, and then the car behind him, that's a bit of an interesting car. What looks to be an X1991 car in terms of the shape.
Which one are we talking about?
The car behind Avon Dunn, the Ian Arbuthnot, the Argo FA2000.
Oh, right. The Argo has got British origins. Yes. Yeah. Going back to the early 80s.
Yes, that would be about right.
Yeah.
You can just see the shape and design of the car. Something similar to what you'd see in the early 90s, late 80s of a Formula One car.
From what I understand, that the Argo had, this is out of left field, and I mean the far left field. An Argo, there was about 100 built, I understand, and they really performed well in championships in Lebanon and India. Now, if I've got that wrong, I could be very much mistaken. That's what I understand, that the Argos were very popular. I didn't even know they did motor racing in India, but I suppose there's places that they do.
There's Buddha International Circuit where they race with F1 and MotoGP.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably
I mean, Lebanon probably, but so the Argos. So if you want an Argo, an old Argo, I suggest you go up there.
And if you need a bit of experience to tell you all about it, then Ian Arbuthnot will be one to tell you about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows the history of the Argo.
We've had a couple of Argos here battling it out in the open wheelers class for the club days over the last couple of years.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Keith Cowan, just looking back at him, he is currently in the 9th spot in the Johnston Formula Ford, one of the oldest Formula Fords here in New Zealand.
It is indeed. It's the first of the Johnsons built here in Canterbury. It happens to be the first of 9. It's the eldest one. And
1970 it was built.
Keith does a good job on that car. So it's Matt Butchard, car 86, and the Reynard. It's a Formula Ford 2000, which was a championship class in England for many, many years. Difference being, which is pretty obvious, I guess, that they had wings, have got wings, and they run on slicks, or can run on slicks.
Yeah, of course, we had the wings and slicks class here in the South Island as of recently. It didn't really end up kicking off, unfortunately.
No.
But
sadly,
the Formula Open class up north is really
it's very let's hope that spreads, because it must be a lot of Atlantics and old TRS cars around, as we often say, and it's just good to see them come out again.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Last lap board is out, or coming out.
Yep, it is out for Matt Butchart, and a very unique field about to come to the end of their first races. Oh dear, Avon Dunn's just tried to make a move there down at Parks, and just got it all wrong, gone all wide.
Got a bit autocrossy.
Yeah. Henry Thomas Kirchhoff.
Hey, look, he's had a go at Steve Donaldson.
Yeah.
But Donaldson got him back as they go into turn 1.
Down into Abbott Insurance. Donaldson holds on for now.
Come on, Steve, bring that Brabham home.
Henry Thomas Kirchhoff, he's from what I just saw through Abbott Insurance, Thomas Kirchhoff tends to get a bit more drive on the exit.
Yeah.
So it seems like Donaldson's able to maximise his entry a little bit better for what it's worth. If you're into the technicalities of that sort of stuff, there you go. Down into Euromarque hairpin for the final time for those two.
Yep, the Brabham BT21, been driven by a lot of people of note. I'll say the original one. I think Denny Holm built the first one when he was working for Brabham.
Yes. Well, into the CMG motorcycle sweeper for the final time. Matt Butchart is going to dominantly claim race number 1 for the Pat Orr Formula Libre in today's running of SKOPE Classic. Well and truly clear of the rest of the field. The other two cars in second and third are in Parks. And they're being rapidly closed down by Ian Clements.
Yes, they are. Ian Clements is really coming at a great rate of knots onto the rear of Thomas Kircher, who
he's gone up the
he got the inside. Now, will he get by the two of them on the run to the finish line?
That's going to be the question. Here they come down to the checkered flag. Steve Donaldson holding on. Here comes Clements up the inside. And
good.
Donaldson
Yes, he
gets
does.
second. Clements gets third. Thomas Kircher in fourth. Hamish Carpenter's going to come home fifth. That should round off the top 5. Boy, oh boy, Lindsay. We've got Baldrick spun up down at Parks.
Oh no, Baldrick has. So it's Matt Butchard in the Reynard car 86, Steve Donaldson in the cigar-looking Brabham, magnificent car 67. Third place went to
Ian Clements
in the Formula Ford 2000, and Henry Thomas Kircher, the ever consistent Henry Thomas Kircher in the 87 Ray would be fourth.
Hamish Carpenter 5th, Grant Campbell 6th, Ava Dunn 7th, Ian Arbuthnot 8th, and just the rest of the field scrolling through off your watching on the live stream. Keith Cowan in the 9th and spot, and John Mines in 10th. Well, that is the Pat Hoare Formula Libre. Next up is the Harold Heasley Saloons, Lindsay. And I believe we've got Dave Gowd down in the pits with another person to talk to.
Well, here we are again, down on the pit road, just having a look at some of the incredible cars that are here down here. Chris Fleury and the magic little V-Dub. Chris, I'm looking to buy a V-Dub. Do you know where I can find one?
Sorry, say again, I can't hear you.
I was looking to buy a V-Dub. I hope you can tell me where I can buy one.
This is for sale.
Oh, right.
So I can't knock it up. So keep it on the tarmac.
Chris, tell us a little bit about it. What sort of engine have you got in there?
It's got a 2.3 V-Dub engine in it. The gearbox is from an old Porsche, and that's the 9155 5-speed. And underneath there's quite a bit of Porsche steering racks and sway bars, and it's pushing out just over 200 horsepower and is about, I don't know, 700 kilos. So I don't have a lot to say with the driving. I just push the pedal and Herbie does the rest.
Point and hope.
Yeah. Point and keep eyes open.
Thanks, Chris. So if anyone's looking for a V-Dub to go and have a little bit of a play with, this one, car number 53, Herbie, is on Marketplace. So go and have a look. I'm sure he'll give you all the information you need. We just wander over here a little bit. Here's a man that's been around motorsport in all various forms, rallying, track work, you name it, he's done it. Gary Cliff, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you very much.
How's the car going? Everything okay with you?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Is the car going okay for you?
Yeah, the car's going good as gold, mate. She's an old rally car, keeps going.
You've got to get past that Milligan in front of you, mate. Thank you very much. Well, here they go. They're going out for the race. Back up to the commentary team.
Grid forming up for the next race on the program for SKOPE Classic. Day one of our 2-day event here at Ruapuna. It's interesting to look at this big field in the Harold Heasley Saloons. There isn't one North Islander out there.
Oh, BK, that's terrible.
Absolutely shocking. But some classic cars, a lot of pre-65s when you look at those little angle boxes.
Yeah,
look at that. Look at the front row.
Yeah, right.
Forming up there with Jeff Juddy on pole position in the fabulous Escort.
Didn't that car look nice?
Yeah, it looks very, very nice. And alongside of him is Ewan McPherson, the Ford Anglia.
And so's Ewan McPherson's car, stunning as well. It is.
2, 3, 4, 5. Engine revs build and away we go. Watch Juddy gets a good start, but so too does the angle box next to him. Ewan McPherson, in fact, stretches the legs of the Anglia and will lead the big field of Harold Heasley Saloons into turn one as they line up and bunch up. But no doubt about the race leader going into the first two turns. It'll be the 56 of Ewan McPherson out of Tahuti,
which is
Ford Anglia.
Which we don't know where that is. Is that in North Island?
Oh, it might be. But there we go. And he's being chased down by the yellow Mark 1 Escort of Jeff Judd. And they're starting to stretch their legs on the rest of the field now as they head towards the Euromarque hairpin. All bunching up through there now. Look at the midfield. There's a bunch of cars almost side by side, touching door handles. One car just caught out there, and that's the little yellow car that's slowing down. I think they've got an issue. Hand out the window.
That's Grant Milligan in the that car. His father won the 1981 Ford Escort Championship.
Wow.
Remember those days when well, his dad, that's the car that Alan won the 80, I think it was 81.
Got an issue with it though, so the rest of the field going by. But out at the sharp end of the field, we've got the Anglia car, the Brit cars really, the Ford Anglia versus the Ford Escort.
In the midfield there, we've got Gary Cliff in the Timo Salonen Datsun Stanza.
Now, is that a replica or is that a real
think it
deal?
Is. No, it's a replica.
Rally car to race circuit car.
That Timo won the 1980 Rally of New Zealand, I think, in that. I'll have to ask Brian Kelly that he's my expert man on Rally of New Zealand matters.
Well, there was one year that they
Can you remember?
I remember the year that was disqualified.
That wasn't with Timo Salonen. That was earlier. That was earlier than that. That was in the 70s. It was before we got the WRC.
So the Harold Heasley Saloon race one, fastest lap is Ewan McPherson in that Anglia. Boy, it can go quick. Out front of the field at the moment, Jeff Judd in second place, Steve Pauling in third. So it's Ford Anglia, Ford Escort, and all 1, 2 and 3, the RS 2000 of Steve Pauling in third place.
Then the Viva.
And then the Triumph 2.5 of Gavin Jackson, the Mark II. What a great car.
That's a lovely car, isn't it?
Isn't it lovely?
Yeah, lovely car.
And this is almost an all-English field if you look at it. There's the Vauxhall Viva.
Well, you're right. And then the
Laytons.
Mini. In fact, the first Japanese car is Gary Cliff, isn't it?
Ninth place overall. We've got an Alfa Romeo thrown in there, Rod Sinclair, in 11th place overall.
2 Jags and a Volkswagen.
Yeah, the little Beetle of Chris Fleury down in 16th place. Mixing it with all the English cars. A couple of Triumphs out there. David Wood back into the field, 21st. It is 2.5S in the Triumph as well.
I tell you what, Jelly's not letting McPherson out of his sights, though, as they make a wee gap
the Capri
on
having
Steve
all
Pauling.
sorts of issues out there on track, on the grass, doing a bit of cross-country.
Jeff Judd trying to go around the outside of McPherson as they go around the sweeper. The Indian motorbike sweeper. It is in fact McPherson still, but Juddy comes alongside. Will he take the lead? Well, yes indeed. I think Jeff Judd might have the inside running as they go into Abbott turn 1.
He'll let him through, but he'll stay close by, I think. So Jeff Judd, of course renowned for
rallying,
the motorsport team that he's involved with, out in front at the moment. Loves his motorsport, builds great cars. And the Anglia in second place of McPherson.
We're talking about Gary Cliff in the Stanza. Gary's been around a long time. He competed in the first ever rally in Canterbury in 1973. I recall he had a Mini. And he's had a few rally cars since then and racing cars since then.
Look at the race for first and second place And Ewan McPherson is really keeping Jeff Judd honest. The Anglia closes up just a little bit on the Mark 1. Then it stretches its legs again. So great little battle. In fact, the fastest lap's now being pulled up by Jeff Judd with a 1:43.5 on that last lap. 6 laps has been all day for most of the classes.
Yeah, I think most of them are 6 laps.
There is a 5-lapper coming up, which is the Murray Maxwell vintage cars. We'll take it easy on those cars. They're a little older.
Oh, I think that's been changed. I think it might have been changed to 6, by the way, too, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so look at this one now. There's the gap between first and second. There is absolutely not a lot in it. Half a dozen car lengths or so. But the Escort of Jeff Judd just starting to get away just a wee bit. Often with races like this, you get races within races, and you look right back down the field. The Jag there and the Anglia doing battle. A Cortina tucked in behind them, and then a fabulous Capri as well.
34, the wee Viva, that's in 4th place, driven by Wayne Perkins, and Wayne is the coordinator of the very popular Pre-78 class that we now have at our championship meetings.
Alan Taylor just exiting pit lane again, so obviously a little bit of an issue for his Ford Capri. The yellow Ford Capri will rejoin the field. Love the Capri. Look at this, the wee battle going past the start-finish line, almost 4 cars wide. And the Jag maybe got its nose in front, or has it as they enter turn. The turn, there's nothing in it. That Capri that did exit the pit lane, sort of slowing them down just a wee bit, but another Capri jumps in front. Great wee battle going through turn 3, the Link ECU corner, and down towards the Euromarque hairpin. Capri leading the Anglia, then the Jag, then the Cortina.
The Jag, lovely Mark II Jag. The Mark II Jags, Brian, well, for those from Canterbury here who can remember the 60s, and Ray Archibald won the New Zealand Championship in his Mark II Jaguar. Beautiful, beautiful car. He won it twice, actually. Also, other modified Mark II Jags, Steve Millen, Denny Holm.
Alan Taylor having all sorts of issues. He's going down the grass bank now by the spectator area, so obviously quite a big issue for that car that was in pit lane, the Ford Capri, and no doubt he'll get into the pits if he can possibly get it round. So Jeff Judd out in front, 2 laps to go. Ewan McPherson in the Anglia in second place from Steve Pauling in the Mark 1 Escort, and then Wayne Perkins in 4th place overall. Races within races. Look at the little V-dub, the little Beetle, mixed in with a bunch of cars as they go through turn 10. So they'll get the leaders will get the last lap board, this time through around Ruapuna, the SKOPE Classic Day 1 of the 2-day meet, the Harold Heasley Saloons. And out in front at the moment, Jeff Judd from Magnum Motorsport in his Escort with the Ford Anglia of Ewan McPherson. It's tucked in behind him, but I think Juddy's got enough to keep that lead, and issues for the little Beetle, the Volkswagen. A lot of smoke coming up the rear of that car. It wouldn't be boiling water, that's for sure. Yeah, and he's parking it. So that's it. Another one bites the dust. Last lap. Here comes the leaders.
Poor old Herbie with a trail of smoke over there.
Judd
Here comes.
Lead them through.
Yeah.
McPherson, not a lot in it.
No, McPherson's still in striking distance here, all right.
So we'll see what happens.
A lonely race for Steve Pauling in third place, and then Wayne Perkins in the Viva, Jackson in the Triumph.
So keep an eye on the little Anglia of McPherson. You can see him just 3 or 4 car lengths behind Jeff Judd.
We have a Capri who's going off there. It's car 56 actually, I believe it. No, it's not 56 at all.
Alrighty, the dust around the track, and looks like they're slowing down just a little bit. So, got a yellow flag up there. What's happened out there? The field's slowing right down. Jeff Judd. So probably because of that little Herbie parked up there, perhaps that they've brought the race. And there's one car going past the race leader, so a little bit of confusion out there on track at the moment. But the leaders have certainly slowed the field down, with Judd and McPherson first and second, Pauling in third place overall, and they seem to be racing midfield. So we'll just see what happens. The last lap board is out for the field that streamed by.
Yeah, that car that spun the Capri's Walter Whittlestone in the Mark 1 Capri.
But it's
that was really spectacular. It was lucky it didn't take anybody else out then.
But I'm not sort of quite sure what's happened out here, because there's the race leaders that are now going through turn 10, the Parks towing S's, and they're just going at, well, basically touring pace. The field are all bunching up, and some of them have been racing and amongst it all, but at the end of it all, the checkered flag is being waved and the race is over.
Perkins.
So Wayne Perkins.
Well, how come Wayne
Perkins? So I'm not quite sure what happened there. There's confusion.
To me, this is Jeff should be Jeff Judd.
Yeah, there it is. First and second, as far as we can make out.
But they've been given second and third, though.
Well, on the leaderboard, it's got Perkins that's one.
It has.
Jeff Judd, Steve Pauling, Gavin Jackson, and Martin Turton, the Leyland Mini, and then the rest of the field streaming by. So a little bit of confusion reigning, but however, some lovely cars out there anyway. We enjoyed the fun and games of those 6 laps for the Harold Heasley Saloons.
So we have one of our feature classes here, which is the Mainland muscle cars, and a championship round for these guys. And they will be on shortly.
Again, Euromarque Motorsport Park right here at Ruapuna, and look what I've got in front of me. One of the most magnificent looking vehicles, and a car that has been around. It's probably done more race miles than any other miles. And driving it, Angus Fogg. Angus, you're looking magnificent. The car looks great.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be back at Euromarque, and especially to the SKOPE meeting. I'm looking forward to some good battles today and a couple of quiet, cold ones tonight.
Beautiful. You get out there and have a good time, my man. We've really enjoyed having you down here at Ruapuna. Just looking around at some of the other cars that are come roaring through here any minute. We'll go back upstairs to the boys in the commentary box, the Dave Cook commentary box.
Not my worst.
time for the LI 24/7 Fuel Mainland muscle cars out on the track for their first race of the weekend. And we'll welcome up to the commentary box Tony Johnston. Tony, the expert here of the Mainland muscle cars class. You've had a couple of rounds so far this season, mate. Talk me through kind of what the points look like, if you've got any on you, or what the rounds have been like so far. Who's been kind of the outlier in this class right now?
Well, where do we start? This is round 4 for us. So we've got 5 rounds this season. The next one is Teretonga at the end of February, and it's been a really good hard championship at the front. We've got a few guys that are really quick out here. We've got in qualifying there were 5 cars in the 1 minute 29s.
There you go.
So it's pretty impressive, isn't it? For these are big heavy cars, a lot of power. They're old, most of these things are 30, 40, 50 years old. One of the cars racing here is 60 years old. So,
the youngest in the field's 1985 book, so there you go.
Right, that's right. So the guys who are fighting for the championship are Reese Gould. Reese has got the beautiful blue Mustang, which is sort of out in the mid-pack at the moment. Rod Heyman's up there amongst it. Rod's changed from his red Pontiac Firebird that a lot of folks that enjoy these cars will remember Rod for. So he's now on a white Gen 2 Camaro, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 back. And the guy that's third back behind the safety car, Hamish Frew, blue and black Gen 2 Camaro, he's been chipping away really consistently. He hasn't been quite as quick as the likes of Reese Gould, but he's actually looking really good, and I think third place in the championship at the moment.
Well, that is going to be an exciting finish to your championship here, Tony, with obviously here and then Teretonga as well, 2 pretty good tracks to run mainland muscle cars at. Having experienced both, I can definitely say that it's a very much a thriving championship right now. And you did say Reese Gould, man, has he been on it over the past couple of seasons?
Sure has. And I'll tell you who the other guy is, I should have mentioned, is young Braden Phillips. Braden's got the blue notchback 65 Mustang, and there is number 43 towards the back, third to last car, blue number 43 Mustang, and Braden's right there too. Braden is he's a young guy. This is his first full season with us, and he's driving really well, and fast, man. He's a fast young guy.
Well, there is something about blue and Mustangs, I think, Tony, that just makes them pop out a little bit.
Yeah, there is this season, and it's really the battle of the blue Mustangs.
Well, at the front of this field is Angus Fogg in car number 1. Good to see Angus down here. Of course, that car very infamous for the flames it spits out from the exhaust. So the J.A. Russell Limited Ford Mustang will start on front row. Bit of a one-off for Angus this weekend, is it? Or is he?
2, yeah. He was with us at Levels last weekend.
Cool.
Yep. And he was great. It was really good having him there. That car's just so well known, isn't it? Everybody knows it and loves it. And you're dead right about the flames spitting everywhere. It just looks so cool.
Well, it absolutely does. And just looking further back, you mentioned Hamish Frew. He's lining up on the second row. Reese Gould just coming up to line up on the pole. No surprise there. That car has been on rails this season so far.
And that first group is really indicative of where we're at in the championship. If you take Angus Fogg out, pretty much, aside from Angus, the next 4 cars are really all in the fight for the championship.
And just a little bit further back, John Hepburn, car 52. Of course, John, no stranger to the mainland muscle cars class. He holds a Monaro, been one of the best here as we get ready to go racing. 6 laps ahead of us, and we're underway. Good start from the front 2. A little bit of a bogged down start from Hamish Frew. So he's going to drop like a rock through the pack, and that's not that's not the start he would have wanted for his championship chances. Go down into Abbott Insurance, well and truly clear as Reese Gould. He's got an absolute flyer of a start. Going back to Braden Phillips, then Angus Fogg.
Look at the speed of Reese Gould. Those fast cars the cars up the front, they are just so fast.
Well,
staggering.
you're absolutely right, and just see the gap Reese has already pulled over Braden Phillips. They go down to the Euromarque hairpin. Reese Gould over Braden Phillips, then Angus Fogg.
Paul Clark is next, and he's another really quick car. That's a almost brand new car. He debuted that at the end of last season. That's the car in 4th spot. Paul Clark from Dunedin, another really quick pro-built car.
very experienced campaigner as well, running at pre-65
Yeah,
class as well.
dead right. He's done a lot of racing, and he's a pretty good peddler.
Well, just looking up, looks like Braden Phillips just got a little bit sideways on the exit of the carousel. Looked to go up the inside of Angus Fogg, just wasn't quite going to work for him, and yeah, he's going to have to try another way around. Just looking a little bit further back behind Paul Clark, it's Rod Heyman just sitting in behind John Hepburn. Now that's a battle of the Titans if I've ever seen one. Those two have had scraps upon scraps.
Well, yes, they came together last weekend at Levels. Rod Heyman and John Hepburn.
Well, they're going to go wheel to wheel down the main straight here at Euromarque Motorsport Park this time by, and Heyman's got the position. So the Chevy Camaro gets in front of the Holden Monaro. Braden Phillips and Paul Clark, those two pretty close together. And we look further back. Bruce Tinnerley, is that I see back there?
Yeah, that's the orange Holden Monaro behind Mike Small.
As I say that, he's now slowing. That's probably our fifth Black Jelly Bean Award of the weekend.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not been a good start in terms of the Black Jelly Beans being handed out this weekend, but yeah, Bruce Tinnerley just pulling it off onto the infield, so hopefully nothing major, and that will be out later on this afternoon, crossing fingers on that regard.
And good that he looks well out of the way, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to impact the race. So the races, of course, that most people will be looking forward to is race 2 and race 4. Race 2 this afternoon, race 4 tomorrow afternoon, and they're both reversed grid handicap races. And so they're generally really exciting races when you watch these super fast guys try and work their way through the field and get up towards the front.
Looks like we've just got Angus Fogg slowing down at the Parks S's, Tony.
Yes.
So not too sure what that's about, but that's...
So yeah, he's got a problem and he's just limping his way back to the pits by the look of it.
Well, that is a real shame. That car, a lot of history behind it, raced down at Taupo to support the supercars, raced at Bathurst as well over the past couple of years, so...
But hey, that's great for everybody else in the field, because everybody else can go home tonight and say, I beat Angus Fogg.
Well, that's true. It is true. Although, yeah, some may be quick to point out that it is an invalid statement with Angus not being in the race. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Some great cars in this field as we look a little bit further back. Some of the drivers not necessarily in the championship fight, but still within great pace. Gary Shaw, that old Ford Falcon. Gary's raced that car for a number of seasons now. Boy, oh boy, it is a great-looking car.
That's the oldest car in the field. That was built in 1960.
Wow.
So do your maths. What's that? 65 years old. About the same age as everybody in the commentary booth except you. Yeah. Perhaps some are a little older than that. So we've got a safety car.
Oh, yeah, we've got a safety car on
What's
track.
happened?
So that is going to be interesting to see what's the cause of that one. Looks like we've got... It shouldn't be for Bruce Tinnerley, as far as I know, because we got through that pretty clear.
What is it, Grunt? What are you seeing? Ross Wild?
Ah, there we go.
So Ross Wild has got a black and white VL Commodore. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He was disguised by the safety truck.
Yep, one of the youngest cars in the field. The 1985 Holden Commodore VK.
So, Josh, going back to your point before about the slower cars, one of the cool things about the Allied 24/7 Fuel Mainland Muscle Car Series is that within the series we have 3 classes. We have A class, B class, C class, based on time. So these guys in the mid pack and even towards the back of the pack are having their own championship and unaffected by the really fast guys up the front. And it's really cool. It's really cool to have a slower car and yet still be in a championship. And Gary Shaw, that you mentioned, the pre-65 guy who's been running the oldest car in the field, he's in C class and he's leading it. Yep. And all he's got to really do is just finish, and he will be the C class championship for the season, which is pretty cool.
Well, that's one of the good things about this class, Tony. The guy in last is going very fast always, so it doesn't matter where you are in the field. Just looking at some of those lap times, the driver in last, Barry Fairbrass, 1:42.8, and that is a pretty quick lap time in that Ford Mustang as well.
That's right.
So
That's right.
You can't discount anyone in this championship, especially with those handicap races, as you mentioned. Boy, I'm looking forward to those ones. We've seen some real cookers of a great race come up from those handicaps, and as long as the handicapping is done right, you get some great racing, some great passing, and for sure that's really going to test some of the drivers' mental strength as well as their physical strength.
It's good and bad, you know. It gives the slower and mid-pack guys a chance at getting a good result, which is pretty cool. But it also puts the slower and mid-pack guys in a position where they've got cars coming up on them and getting past them, and it's flippin' intimidating. I can say from experience, when you've got Reece Gould coming at you and you go far out, you know, the speed differential between the slowest and the fastest is pretty big.
Yeah, well, you're spot on. It is a bit of a mixed bag sometimes, and looks like we're going to get the safety car into the pit lane and go back racing here for 3 laps, which should be about 2 laps as we cross the stripe. Reece Gould going to lead them back to green as we go back underway here for the Allied 24/7 Fuels Mainland muscle cars.
Man, it's a drag race.
Reece Gould down the straight. Braden Phillips, Paul Clark, those two dueling at it for the 2nd spot. And then you go back to 3rd for Rod Heyman. Sorry, 4th for Rod Heyman. Paul Clark, another one of those cars spitting flames, so you can just see it down into Abbott Insurance. So everyone's starting to file themselves out now. So it is Gould from car 43, Braden Phillips, then Paul Clark.
The cars that are at the pointy end of Mainland muscle cars, amongst those first group, horsepower numbers, you know, if you've got a 500 horsepower LS engine in your road car, you're doing pretty good. Those front guys are well into the 800s, and there's a couple around the 900 horsepower mark. So it's phenomenal power, isn't it? And of course, you know, you've got to have a whole lot more than just power. Everything else has to be as good. Your braking system, your suspension, your chassis torsional rigidity. These things, you know, are just about, the front running cars are just about supercars with an old body on them.
Well, that's right, and setting some good laps as well. Fastest lap of this race so far, 1:29.61 by Reece Gould. So pretty good laps being set as we're going to get the last lap board out here one more time around for Reece Gould. Braden Phillips in the 2nd spot, then Paul Clark in 3rd. Rod Heyman is going to try and make a charge here, catch up to the back of Paul Clark. Meanwhile, John Hepburn and Hamish Frew, those two dueling it out for that 5th spot. And
so some of you folk on the banks will be watching the orange 4-door Holden Monaro, number 78. It's going through the sweeper at the end there behind the yellow Tirana, number 78 orange Holden Monaro. That's a chap by the name of Craig Highland, and he races in Central Muscle Cars, and he's down here just for this meeting. So there's Craig, got a little bit loose coming out a pothole, approaching the hairpin there. So that's one of the regular Central Muscle Cars contenders.
yeah, it's good to have the Central Muscle Cars and the Mainland Muscle Cars here in New Zealand as well. Of course, both spread out across the South and the North Island, and sometimes coming in the same events as well. So it's always great to have both classes running in New Zealand with some great variation of cars, as we're going to get Reece Gould down into the CMG Motorcycle Sweeper for the final time. Closely followed by Braden Phillips, then Paul Clark and Rod Heyman. And around the final corner, Reece Gould dominated this race from start to finish, and he's going to get the checkered flag and win the first race of the Mainland Muscle Cars this afternoon. Then we go back to Braden Phillips. Then Paul Clark, a good job from him to finish in third. All Ford Mustang 1, 2, 3. Then in fourth, the first of the non-Ford Mustangs in the Chevy Camaro of Rod Heyman. Then Hamish Frew in the Chevy Camaro in fifth. John Hepburn in the Holden Monaro in sixth. Mike Small in the Ford Mustang in seventh. Mark Jenner in the Holden Tirana in eighth. Michael Eden in the Ford Falcon in ninth. And rounding off the top 10, Colin Campbell in the Holden Tirana. A great race there from the Mainland Muscle Cars, Tony, and Boy, we've got a lot of racing still to come, and some points that will go towards the championship for sure.
Too right. So I'm really looking forward to the reverse grid handicap race later on today. That's going to be great fun.
Well, next up is going to be the Rutherford Saloons, but before we do that, we'll head down to Dave Gower in the pits.
We're looking at this beautiful little car that is just, this will bring back some real memories, I would imagine. And driving it as a, well, the man's a little bit older than the car, but man, this car has got some history.
Yeah, I better
listen to it and say, you're not doing that right.
That's correct.
Well, fantastic, thank you very much, but it is such a beautiful looking little car. Just moving down through the grid a little bit further, Scott Walkerton in the magnificent little Lancia. How are we doing? Everything under control?
Everything's under control, yep.
Well, you watch someone come along and muck it up. I hope everything goes well for you. How's the car going and how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good. The car's going reasonably well, yeah.
You looked like you were having some fun out there yesterday.
Having some fun, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea of the SKOPE, of course. It's not no winners and losers. It's just to come and have some fun.
Yep, you're right.
How many years have you been coming?
I think I came last year. I had a gap of about 3 or 4 years before that, and then I was here. Yeah, so this will be third or fourth SKOPE.
Well, welcome back. Congratulations.
The 2 to go. We have the Ron Rutherford. The 2 to go. We have the Ron Rutherford Saloons. Then we have the Murray Maxwell vintage cars. And in the lunch break, we'll have a demonstration of the Nelson beach racing cars, those that still remain, and quite a few actually. And they'll do a demonstration where we chat about the history of the 75-year history of the former Nelson beach racing competition. Right, next on the program, as we just said, it will be the Ron Rutherford Saloons. Ron Rutherford being a well-known name here from Ruapuna. Ron raced the 260M that we know from the vintage car class, and the Rutherford, the Ford as in Woodford Glen. He was the partner with Errol Inwood in creating Woodford Glen Speedway, but very much associated with the track and the circuit racing.
Well, it should be a good field here for the Ron Rutherford Saloons. You just saw Dave Gower chatting to a couple of the drivers there, Lindsay, and some pretty good names in here. Lee Crew and the Fiat Bambina, one of the most notable ones. We've seen him here, I think, every SKOPE for the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's a Yamaha 900 motorbike engine, chain driven, and yeah, it is. It's a Rossi tribute car.
Yes.
I had a chat I did a story on Lee in that car a couple of 3 years ago, and it all started at the hop in Kaikoura, and the boys were in the bar looking at the cars down the main street, and I think it was a bike went by, and he was dared to do something, or to buy it, or to build it, something like that. I think he built it, and he sure did, and it's a it does snap
it's a brilliant car.
It does snap chains apparently from time to time.
Well, we saw that a couple of years ago with SKOPE. He was running well, and then chain snapped and ended up retiring. So that was really the goal, was just to get the Fiat Bambina through the whole meeting. So we'll hope for Lee Crew's sake that he can bring it home through all 4 races this weekend, because it is a very, very cool and specific car. Just looking through the rest of the field as well. Good to see Belinda Hargraves and Tim McCullough out there, 2 regulars here at Euromarque Motorsport Park, as well as Phil Redmond, one of the regulars in the Continental Rennsport class, in his Porsche 944. Liam McMahon out there in the BMW 325i, another regular in the Continental Rennsports. And we'll get everyone lined up on the grid. Car 62 just pulling in there, Tom Collins in the Fordina A40. It's a bit of a unusual looking car, but it's always good to see that out there.
Well, it was they're based on an Austin A40 Farina, which was well before your time, Josh.
Yes.
And I think it was Jim Mullins who was the one that chopped the top off it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that became, and powered by a Ford motor Fordina. This is a replica of it that the Collins family have had for many, many years.
Oh, well, there you go. The more you know.
Well, I hope so, Josh.
You learn every day with this job, mate, so...
Well, I hope so too, Josh.
Well,
I hope you'll keep on learning a bit too.
Haven't stopped learning since it came out of the womb.
And I don't talking about motor racing either.
Well, car 721 on the front row, the BMW M3 of Chris Childs, and alongside him, car 72, Mark Scott, in the BMW 3.0 CSI. So, this is Chris Childs Senior, I believe, here, Lindsay.
That's Jonathan Phillips' car that Mark Scott's driving. And the wee Fiat had a good start. He did have trouble with starts with that car, and that's when he's liable to break chains. But he got a dynamic start as they go into turn 1.
Just looking a little bit further back, one of the great-looking cars, the Lancia Monte Carlo, the Martini liveried car, a bit like it was back in the rally days when Lancia was in rally.
I don't think. Yeah, it looks like the cross between the Stratos and the 037, I suppose. That's a good start by Scott with that lovely BMW. I say we'll probably see that car a bit in Rennsport now with Jonathan Phillips. Well, I'm assuming that, seeing he was one of the pioneers of a Rennsport class, Josh.
Yeah. It'll be good to see that car back in Rennsport. Just looking a little bit further back, the Toyota Starlet, the car number 15, Ethan Constable. Been a while since we've seen Ethan out here at Euromarque Motorsport Park, but 100% one of the little zippy cars. We see Toyota Starlets quite regularly down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park. And he's being hounded by Liam McMahon. So that's a bit of a battle between big and small there. The little old Starlet being hounded by the BMW. Lee Crew just sitting there in front.
Yeah, he had a great start, but he's been swallowed up a bit.
Yeah, he has been swallowed up a little bit. He is currently sitting in ahead of Paul Goodwin.
Yeah, Chris Charles is sitting well there in second place.
Another one of the McCullochs, Tim McCulloch, in the Ford Anglia, currently in the 12th spot right now.
Yeah, he's a regular here in that car.
Yep. Phil Redmond currently in the 3rd spot, so Phil Redmond starting to make a little bit of light work of some of these drivers right now. He's got Liam McMahon on his tail.
Yeah, again, Phil's another regular here.
Yeah, he knows this track very, very well.
As is Brent Finley, who follows in the Datsun 1200
Yes.
Coupe, that car being a former Shell Sport car.
Looking a little bit further back, Gordon Legg in the BMW 318IS, one of the big kind of burly cars we've got in this field.
Yeah, Gordy from up country, growing olives up in the Omaha, Waipara area. And a few grapes, I understand.
Well, there is a bit of a battle for third brewing right now as Liam McMahon has managed to get around Phil Redmond. And here comes Hamish Robinson.
I tell you an interesting little bit about Gordon Legg. He was the first time television did the Ashley Forest Rally Sprint, and he was the TV director.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
It only goes back to about 1982 or something.
Oh my gosh. Well before I was even a thought.
Well before Josh.
Yes. So Mark Scott currently the leader, 1:39.7, his fastest lap so far. Then we go to Chris Childs and Liam McMahon, Phil Redmond, Brent Finlay, and then Hamish Robinson, the little Fiat Uno. Another one of those small little cars we don't see here too often.
You're right about the Ethan Constable Starlet. Over the years, we've seen a lot of Starlets modified and come out here, as we did in rallying too, I must admit. But of recent times, there's not many of them around, is there?
No, they're quite an economical car to run as well. You'd think so.
You'd think so.
Maybe
I'm not sure they'd come out here with their normal factory engines in them.
May just be a parts sort of thing, with obviously Starlet's ending production many years ago. Graham Menzies out there in the Datsun 1200. Another one of the regulars down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park.
Now, Datsun 1200s were popular competition cars in both circuit racing and rallying. The Datsun Triple S in particular was extremely popular and very successful in its class.
I tell you what, Lindsay, that little Fiat Uno driven by Hamish Robinson is really keeping up with some of the big cars. He's being hounded by Chris Stevens in the Nissan Sentra GT, but putting up a great fight at the moment. Starting to pull a little bit of a gap over Stevens, who is one of our regular Continental Rennsport contenders, running a Renault Megane. So 6th place for that little Fiat Uno. Impressive stuff from Hamish Robinson right now. Just want to look one car back from Alex McCaskill, that Toyota Corolla. It's a bit of a modified looking Corolla, but one car back from that, George Coates, that pink and light blue looking Porsche 924. George, I believe he ran at the Christchurch Street Sprints a couple of weeks ago, and he's been putting on some good performances down here at Euromarque Motorsport Park to add.
Have we seen much of that car before?
No, not this specific car, I don't think. Unless it's the same car he's raced, just painted it.
Right.
So regardless, George been here for a number of years now, and good to see him out there. He's currently running in the 13th spot. And I did mention Alex McCaskill in the Toyota Corolla, a very unconventional looking Toyota Corolla. The very different from the ones you see nowadays.
Oh.
Car 38, Belinda Hargraves, the BMW 325i, running inside the top 10 right now. She is being put in a little bit of a race of her own right now. She's got Tim McCulloch behind her. Just not really anyone in front of her to go chase. Two laps to go here for Mark Scott. Chris Childs just sets a new fastest lap of this race at 1:38.826. That's a full couple of tenths faster than what Mark Scott's able to manage. Lee Crew just going down into the Park's S's right now. He's ahead of Ashland White in the BMW 325i E30. And Ashland's one of the top contenders down in Continental Rennsport. So pretty good showing here from Lee Crew so far. Ken Walkerden in the Lancia Monte Carlo down entering into the CMG Motorcycle Sweeper right now. 22nd spot for him. Just looking at the battle right now for the 20th spot. Ashland White going up the inside of Lee Crew. Crew trying to hold him off, going around the outside into Abbott Insurance. And he gets that place done. Oh, and we've got one excursion off into the grass on the exit of Euromarque. Trying to work out who that is.
Last lap board about to appear, Josh, we're told. Thank you, ladies.
Pretty hectic race so far in the Rutherford Saloons, Lindsay, and tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing the remainder of the races this weekend. As the last lap board comes out for Mark Scott and Chris Charles, those two are actually quite close together right now. Chris Charles could be in for a move going down in this final lap. And he does set the new fastest lap of this race at 1:38.079. So over a second quicker than what Mark Scott is able to manage. So let's see if he's able to make a pass. Down into Euromarque to get closes for the lead once again. Tricky section of corners coming up through the Thornton Hogan corner, then the carousel, and then into the Parks S's. Basically, you don't stop turning. Here we go, into the carousel for the final time. It is still Mark Scott ahead of Chris Charles. Charles has got the better run on the exit though. Here he goes up the inside. Not going to happen for him. Got to maximise these S's as much as possible. He's going to take a bit more of an aggressive line to get the better exit. Here we go. Final bit of short straight before we go into the CMG sweeper. It's not going to happen.
I can't see it happening.
No.
Can you?
He's not quick enough on the straights to make a pass down this start-finish straight either.
He need to be closer into that last turn.
Here we go, run to the line, checker flag is going to fly, and that win goes to Mark Scott. Chris Charles comes home second, then we'll have Liam McMahon home third. Phil Redmond fourth, and then it will be Brent Finlay in fifth. Just looking a little bit further back, Tom Collins in sixth, then Hamish Robinson seventh, Chris Stevens eighth, and David Stone in ninth. Fight to the line actually for that seventh spot, and it is going to stay the way it is. Chris Stevens comes home ninth, and rounding off the top 10 will be Tim McCulloch. Good racing there from the Ron Rutherford Saloons, Lindsay, and we'll have to hand it back down to our resident Australian, we might have our resident Jaguar expert down there as well. You never know.
We never know who we got down there, do we?
No, we'll have to wait and see. Dave Gow, down to you.
Well, look at this. Royce Bayer, the man of the moment. How are you, mate? How's the car?
Beg your pardon?
How's the car going? Everything okay with you?
Hopefully.
Well, I tell you what, it looks very smart. You've obviously done an awful lot of work during the off-season with the car.
Yes, we have. It's been a bit of a project, but it's been enjoyable. Yep, it's a car that's been around for about 30 years, but never seen the light of day.
Okay. Yeah. And you've got it going?
Yep.
Good on you, mate. Well done. One of the another one of the stalwarts here from for the Classic. He's been coming here probably longer than I have, 35 years. That would be right. So let's just have a wander over here too to the Shade Tree Special. Excuse me, can I just have a word with this young man? What did you do earlier on?
Sorry?
Did you fall off over there before?
No, it might have been 116.
Okay,
Look at that.
that's all right. So how's the car going? Everything, you're happy with everything?
Yeah, car's going great. It's awesome. Thank you.
How long have you been coming to the Scope?
I've only been racing for a year or so, but I've been watching it for probably 30 years.
And now you've got right in amongst it. Well done. All the very best to you, and I hope you have a fantastic day right here at the Scope Classic there for 2025, of course, held at Euromarque Motorsport Park. Let's go over now, just have a talk over here. Excuse me, sir. How are we doing?
I've got earplugs in, but I'm doing really good. I'm looking forward to the next race, the first race. So it's a great turnout. The VCC, there's a lot of interesting cars here, and we're just out for a bit of fun.
There certainly is a lot of interesting cars and a lot of interesting drivers as well. How have you found the track so far? It's not too slippery or anything?
We were out earlier on, and it definitely was cold, the track. I had a little spin and came off the track and had to be towed off, so that wasn't such a good start to the day, but hopefully, fingers crossed, this time it will be clean.
Well, you probably won't do that again.
Hopefully not, no.
Well, very good luck, and welcome back to the Scope Classic here at Euromarque Motorsport Park. This is a car that I absolutely adore. How are we doing?
Yeah, pretty good.
The car still looks absolutely immaculate as per normal.
Yeah, Peter does a good job of looking after it. It's his baby.
Yep, and it's just it's one of those. So just tell us a little bit about it, just very quickly. I see you're sitting there. You've got the gearbox and the drivetrain between your legs. So that might be a little bit of a worry from time to time.
It's a little bit concerning.
So long as it keeps spinning and stops jumping, you'll be all right.
If it all stays inside there, it'll be perfect.
Well, very good luck to you, and welcome back to Ruapuna here at the International Raceway, Euromarque Motorsport Park. Here's a man that's been coming here for an awful long time, Graham Hamilton. Graham, welcome back.
I'm sorry, mate, I can't hear you. I've got earplugs.
I'll just say welcome back, and I hope you have a very, very good day. Cheers. All righty, here we go.
Murray Maxwell Vintage Cars, one of the star attractions of a Scope Classic, A, because of their age, and B, because of some of the classic drivers that are involved in it as well. But seriously, this is the class that I guess really speaks for classic motor racing, is what it's all about. And these are the oldest ones that are in the collection, and run by the Vintage Car Club, the Banks Peninsula branch of the Vintage Car Club. And there's some cars in here that have some wonderful history.
Just looking on the program here, Lindsay, the oldest one I can see, Murray Fru's Chrysler 62.6.
Well, no, it's not. It's a replica.
It's a replica?
Replica of nothing, really.
Really?
It's a car that he found in abandoned in a shed somewhere in Methven area, I think.
Ah.
And that's Murray Fru. It's car number, what's the car number, Josh?
6.
Number 6. Now, it's got an interesting pedigree. that he found it, and it's, as I say, it's built from. It's I know his seats are 44 gallon drum chopped. It's a Chrysler. Is it
62.6 is what it's got on here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find its pedigree here. Never mind. Anyway, it's been put together with all bits and pieces, and it's got I think it's a Chrysler chassis, Plymouth engine, and another gearbox from somewhere.
Oh.
It really is in the spirit of a special, really.
Looks like maybe missing a few cars here, Lindsay. We've got
there is
over 30 cars entered into this one, so one of our biggest fields. And it looks like we've just got a couple of cars, especially one of our own up here, RCW, Rob Cope Williams. Doesn't look like he's out there in the Birkin Lotus 7 replica. Is he either? See? Maybe missing on that one.
55.
Our resident Jaguar and Lotus expert.
I guess we should sort of say hi to Rob, seeing he's one of ours during normal times, but not this weekend. He's chosen to go elsewhere and renew his motor racing career. Yeah, the Birkin, yeah, we have. It's out of South Africa, I think.
Ah, there we go. Okay, I may have been looking for the wrong car then. Good old. Yeah, he'll be down in 27th, car 55, Rob Cope Williams.
Car 55, I think, isn't it?
Yes. I think he's it. I can see him. Yep, he's all the way at the back there. Just behind the Stewart Special, I think. Regardless, car 12 on the front row, Mark Barrett, no surprise there. The Lotus 23B replica, one of the fastest VCC cars we've got, and of course, wife Tracy in the Lotus 23C replica, car 65, a little bit further back than usual. These two usually are fighting out over who does the dishes between each other as we get underway for the Vintage Car Club.
There's David Owen, a lovely C-type Jaguar beside him. Hello, we've got...
Looks like a bit of issues there for Mark Barrett. He's going 4 wide down the straight. Rob Cope Williams, the Stewart Special there of John Gilman involved in that 3 wide battle.
That car is the Peter Levisic car,
yes,
as people will no doubt know, and that car with Peter won 4 of the Nelson Beach races, which we'll be talking about soon. And Peter, as say, up until last season was still racing that car here on the track.
1949 built Stewart Special.
One of 3 specials that Neil Stewart built.
Yeah, great to have that car out here. It's been through quite a number of years now, Lindsay, and for sure we'll see and hear a little bit more about it in the display coming up after this. Just looking a little bit further back through the field right now. It looks to be Mark Barrett just looking up the inside of one of what looks to be the Ace 3, if I'm not mistaken. Graham Hamilton.
It's a famous car built by Wally Darrell back in 1950s, early 50s, I believe. Yeah, it was the third of 4 cars that Wally Darrell built. The first one was the Ace Special, which was the old Heck Green RA1, for those who are interested in that. The car was built in 1957. Yeah.
Well, coming across the line right now, David Owen, the current leader, 1953 Jaguar C-Type replica. And then the rest of the field follows suit. So David Owen's actually had a wicked start here, Lindsay. He's well and truly clear of the rest of the field. 6.0 seconds, so 6 seconds clear of Graham Hamilton in second, the Ace 3. Then it's John Rapley in the Brabham BT2R.
I tell you, who is missing is the Stanton Corvette, isn't it?
Yes. That's one I was still coming into pit lane.
It's here. Russell Greer is here with her.
Yeah, car 53. That's where I would have mistaken the car there. So Stanton Corvette of Russell Greer. He pulled into the pits mid-qualifying. That's one of the that's the car I noticed. I misread that as 55 originally. That was RCW. But yes, Russell Greer and the Stanton Corvette. So issues continue for that car, I think, Lindsay. It's been a bit of a rough ride for Russell in that car over the past couple of meetings.
Well, yeah, it's money. I mean, it's such a great history. Just to see it out there is, I think, pleases most people. We were talking about Murray Frew's car, that Chrysler Special. Yeah, I've just found my notes on that. Murray Frew's car there. He found it in Methven in a reasonable condition. It had a Blenheim owner apparently, but it's got a Chrysler chassis, a Plymouth engine, a Vauxhall gearbox, and a seat made from a 44-gallon drum.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Now that's typical, great Kiwi ingenuity. That car is just the same as the bellow out there. Royce Bayer built that. That's car number 16, driven by Doug Moody. 4 or 5 years ago, Royce built that on his own garage in Rangiora, and there we have it. That Doug Moody is now driving it. But yeah, great example of a modern special.
Just looking at the front of this field now, Lindsay, the fastest lap of this race, a 1:45.3 by Mark Barrett. And he is currently in the second spot. So David Owen's still got a pretty decent lead. His lead's been halved, but he's still holding on to it right now.
Yeah, Mark had a pretty rough start, I believe, but I thought he would have, that car of that beautiful C-type Jag replica is, with David Owen, has certainly got it going extremely well, hasn't he?
He does, absolutely.
Oops, we have someone who went off at the hairpin. A single-seater there.
Tricky. Just got to be careful with those rejoins, Lindsay, especially down
as
it tightens up through the Exeter Euromarque hairpin. I believe that might have been John Rackley in the back. Brabham BT2R?
Yeah, the BT2R. That was one by, that's got a great history, that car too. It was, in fact, John's had it for many years, and he found it at the Southwood Museum at Paraparaumu. And John's had it, got it there, did it up, and been racing it ever since. But you're right, Denny Holm was the one that built that car when he was working for Jack Brabham.
Sorry, Lindsay, that was actually not John Rackley that went off. He's actually having a monster scrap there with Paul Coggle in the Jaguar Special.
Oh, that's Paul Coggle from Dunedin. That car was being built as a HWM, which is with Jaguar Specials, and he was building a replica of a HWM, but it didn't turn out that way, and it became just a Jaguar Special.
Well, there you go. Just looking at, and the lead has changed hands. Mark Barrett has gotten around David Owen finally after laps. So it is Mark Barrett in the lead over David Owen right now. 43.4, the best time by Mark Barrett right now. And of course, the Lotus 23B and 23C replicas, regular campaigners in the VCC class here at Euromarque Motorsport Park. Gone through a number of hands in the past couple of years. Of course, Rob Cope Williams raced those in the past, and now driven by Tracy and Mark Barrett.
Royce Bayer car 23 goes there, and the third of the Lotus 23 replicas. That's just a recent job, that one, and it looks stunning, doesn't it?
It does. And of course, Royce, he's raced in many things here at Euromarque Motorsport Park. Most recently, the Argo, having those great scraps with Steve Donaldson.
He started his racing career driving a Riley L for the Mini Sevens.
Oh, really? Wow.
He sure did. Car 33, Steve Day in the Briggs Mercury Special. That's a car with a bit of history. Built 1957, and that car's raced on the beach at Nelson. And it was also here on the starting grid of the first meeting here at Ruapuna in 1963.
Well, I tell you what, Lindsay, the beach races just started everything.
Well, that's when it first started. It was on the beach at New Brighton.
Yes. you think of the amount of race series, race cars, and tracks that started off the beaches as well. We're thinking of Daytona Beach, the Daytona International Speedway that started on the beaches back in the 40s.
The most famous beach racing in New Zealand has been at Muriwai in Auckland and at Nelson.
Yes, that's right, yes.
In fact, Nelson virtually took over. Muriwai started in the 20s and lasted for quite some time and then disappeared, and then Nelson took over for the Beach Racing Championship in Nelson, as they having their anniversary this weekend, their 75th anniversary of the commencement of it. We'll see all those cars coming out later on in the parade, in fact very soon.
Looking forward to seeing that. That will be good to see those just running out there and showcasing a bit of racing history. So the last lap board is out for Mark Barrett. He's comfortably beating Tracy right now. Tracy just struggling a little bit right now in the 9th spot, which is a little bit unusual with Tracy. She's usually fighting up there with Mark. As I mentioned, those two usually very, very close together, Lindsay, over the past couple of meetings.
Yes, they have been, for sure.
Rob always says they're fighting to do the dishes.
Yes, they are.
Whoever ends up winning at the end of this event probably is going to be the one doing the dishes when they get home. So it's always a bit of fun in the VCC class. With so many entries in for this, over 30 cars out on the track at the moment. Just looking at David Owen, car 88. What a performance this guy has put up as the checkered flag is going to fly, as far as I'm aware. No. So they've put the last lap board out. Is that Tracy Barrett's gone through, or Mark Barrett? A little strange, a little bit of confusion still going on here as to whether...
Last lap board does come out indeed.
Here we go. Well, Mark Barrett has already gone through. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication there, Lindsay, because Mark Barrett's already gone through and they had the last lap board out on our screens before a lap ago. So looks like we extended the race by a lap, so 6 laps instead of 5. That probably is why it's showing that on our timing screens.
In fact, it was increased during the week, I believe.
Oh, there you go.
They changed everything to be 6 laps.
Okay. So probably it's not updated on our timing screens. No worries there.
Don't be so sarcastic, Josh.
Looks like we've got a couple of retirements into the pits. Royce Bayer, Rob Cope-Williams and Roger Greeny. So not too sure what's going on there.
Yeah, well, they both went through okay last time. Also, all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing major.
Car 77 went through was been driven this time by John Gilman. As I say, Peter Levisich is the one that has raced this since, I forget what it was, 1960 something. And he hasn't missed a meeting. And but John Gilman is driving it this weekend. But Peter will drive it during the parade at lunchtime.
That'd be good to see. Peter, the Levisich family, of course, very, very well known within motorsport here at Christchurch. With Brent and Matt Levisich. The checker flag's going to fly here. Looks like it's going to fly for David Owen. So not too sure what's happened with Mark Barrett. So David Owen gets the win here for the Vintage Car Club, race number 1 of the weekend for them. So a little bit of confusion going on here.
The latest coming in the pits.
Yeah,
and
that
I
is Mark Barrett.
That's got to be Mark Barrett, because here's Tracy Barrett going through now.
Wow. Did Mark Barrett think the race was over before it was? I don't know. Well, stranger things have happened, Lindsay. That does wrap up the first Murray Maxwell Vintage Car Club race of the weekend. So it is David Owen from Hamish Pigeon, John Rapley, Graham Hamilton, Mick Toll, Russ Haynes, Tracy Barrett, Paul Coghill, Brian Ashworth and Tony Steer rounding off the top 10. And we do have the Nelson Beach Racing display up next.
Along with a lot of other quite interesting cars. So we'll come to all that shortly.
So here we are down in the pits. That's the end of the session for lunch. We're going to cut the stream for those that are watching out there in internet land, and we'll be back again at 1:40 p.m. for the afternoon session. So David, what do you think? The morning's done. It's been a beautiful morning, lots of racing. What did you see out there?
Well, I just found that the whole thing is just so incredible. The way the organisation, the Canterbury Car Club, the way they do everything, it's just amazing. Euromarque, of course, the main sponsors of the paddock as well, they've done a fantastic job. They've got a field of cars down here for you to look at. But the quality of the cars and the competitors is just absolutely amazing. And every year it just gets bigger and bigger. 35 years, we're looking at, next year will be even bigger, I'm more than sure. But yeah, we've had a fantastic morning, and we look forward to seeing you all back again at 1:40 to continue the coverage of the 2025 SKOPE Classic right here at Euromarque Motorsport Park, Ruapuna.